Yeah, yeah. Let's get this going. Peace, Donnie. Listen, man. I ain't about to be 1 second. All right. So I just wrote Brother Reggie back. I'm trying to get Reggie on here. Did Claude Peace. I'm trying to get Reggie on here. Well, listen, when I see I'm trying to get Reggie on here, we're emailing back and forth. Tiffany, that clown woman did not there we go. Tiffany, that clown woman did not respond to me. It did. So screw her. Screw her. So 1 second. Thank you, brother. How's your day? Have a good one. All right. I had a package to come in between 1:45 p.m. when I got off earlier to like now, and of course it comes now. Like, come on, you dig? But yeah, Tiffany, that clown didn't even respond to my email. You dig? Like people, yeah, it's sad because people on here for their own agenda. It's not about the truth. It's not about elevating Black Ellis excellence. It's about promoting your religious agenda. And to some degree, RBG is a religion. Okay. So, damn, my son will wake up right now, right? Hoping he lay back down. Yeah, but anyway, like I said, I'm over here chatting, emailing back and forth with Brother Reggie. Because I want smart people to come on the podcast. I really don't care for the Kwame's, even though I'm gonna invite them back on here one more time because I gotta cook them or something else. But but the American dreams, I'll pass. Like he really has nothing. He has no talk. At least Kwame got some corny talking points. They're disingenuous. They're tetherish, but it's tether babble. But American Dream, he literally has nothing. Like he don't bring anything. Kwame would bring content. He'll have me beat him up on the pseudo electric car in Africa. You know, he tries with his pseudoisms, but American Dream, he absolutely brings nothing, no value. He just a waste of time tether. And this out of love. I'm just being real. I'm unbiased. I'm gonna be real. Everybody besides him kind of broke an angle, but he just wasted my time on here. Really, he want to talk with. He just want to talk for like focus. Like, nah, bro, I don't need an American Dream. I already got a focus. Who wants to talk for a million years? Or brother Reggie. But I just emailed brother Reggie like, yo, when you do come back on, brother, stop being long-winded, bro. You dig, Nat Turner? Yes, I did email him. I said, bro, the long-winded stuff, we got to knock that off. I said, it got to be an exchange. Okay, so anyway, so what I did was, what I did was, I Googled because I'm not anti, uh, Marcus Garvey. I'm not anti John Henry Clark. I just think they're wrong. I don't got to be anti you. I just think you're wrong. And if I think you're wrong, I think you're a waste of time. And I support the Garvey Must Go campaign, the John Henry Clark Must Go campaign, the Baba James Small Must Go campaign. You dig? Like that's where I'm at right now, and changed my mind. Louder Crowder has a segment on college campuses. He'll say something controversial, and he'll say, "Change my mind." He'll invite people to open debate. Well, I'm inviting you guys who believe Baba James bring value to the Black community, FBA community, um, John Henry Clark, these guys. I'm saying we could do without them. We don't need these guys. They were good for a period of time, I guess, but in 2025, we don't need to resurrect their names at all. The Sabies, all these guys, no, they're time wasting. All right, they're time wasting. At the very least, they're time wasting. But anyway, so what I wanted to know was Garvey's ideology. I wanted to know because you can't have any honest discussion with an RBG guy or UNIA guy. Like they just going to be dishonest. Morris people, they're just dishonest. Tether's just dishonest. Like Tiger is honest. Um, Donnie is honest. Claude is honest. Same day. I chewed him up a little bit, but he's honest. Who else? Black Man is Fair. He's actually cool. He's honest. So I believe everybody should call in at one point. I think everybody who supports this channel, I think y'all owe me a call in. I need to meet every last person, on the call. Everybody who shows support. I mean, you ain't gotta stay for 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds. But I definitely want to do it like a Greek. Like, hey man, what's up? Something like that. Because Tariq called it the Majora spirit, right? So I want to know your Majora spirit, you dig? So I need everybody to call in. You know what I mean? So y'all can talk to me and see, in real life, like, nah, this dude is legit. Like, I'm not like Umar. Like, that's another guy, Umar. I don't hate. I'm not anti Umar. I just think there's we need to do a Umar must go campaign. Like that. That's just what it is. Like we can do better without him and Garvey and John Henry Clark and other blackologists. We can do better without them. And I'm not going to apologize. Change my mind. Hop on here, talk to me face, hop on the podcast respectfully. Don't talk an hour, 3 hours, 4 hours. Don't talk about your degree. Just talk. Talk. Malcolm X didn't have a degree, so stop. Talk. What degree did John Henry Clark have or Dr. Ben? So just talk. We're not gonna appeal to degrees here, especially when the topic has nothing to do with your degree. Your degree is something else. It's political science or agriculture. We're talking about Black history. You did. So your degree don't hold any weight here. All right. So anyway, so I asked AI, what about, okay, how would have Garvey been successful, right? So I'm interested with his fleet of ships idea. I'm interested how he would have been successful. Now listen, I don't mind asking that question. You know why? Because I know Black history and I know my people. We were not Pan-Africanists. We were Americanists. We were Pan-Americanists. So I don't mind asking how can a Pan-Africanist ideology in this country be successful especially when it relies on us leaving the country, right? Which is the most. We were not on that at all. I could take you back to all the way to Alex Cromwell and Richard Allen. We were not on that old go back to Africa. That's something that was enforced on us by the ACS, and that was something American Colonization Society, and that was forcing us through Marcus Garvey, resurrected back Marcus Garvey, which why I suspect he was an agent. So it's like, yo, listen, miss me saying how he was railroaded in the court system. Well, dude, you were an agent yourself. That's like Ricky Ross, like the real Ricky Ross. Like I don't want to hear about him saying he was railroaded in the court system. I don't give a damn. Dude, you sold crack to black people. I'm good. You flooded the United States with crack. I'm good, bro. I don't give a damn how they treated you in the court system. They should have hung you, really. So you're not getting no sympathy from me, man. No, sir. So anyway, I asked Google how could this idea that Marcus Garvey had been successful or on his level, because we would never we were not leaving. So I'm not talking about all of us leaving, but been successful in his eyes. 'Cause I'm sure he wanted some folks. He was not going to move to Liberia. Garvey, he was not going to move to Liberia. He was going to send us over there. He was not going. And that's why I think he was an agent. And again, anybody um feel some type of way, pull up.
You're tapping into one of the most ambitious, controversial, and misunderstood projects in African diasporic history, Marcus Garvey's Black Star Line, 1919 to 1922. Garvey's plan to use ships wasn't
One
just
year,
about
2 years,
sailing,
3 years,
it was about
4
global
years.
black power, economic independence, and reversing the legacy of slavery and
Economic
colonialism.
independence is
But the
bullshit.
dream collided with harsh realities: sabotage,
Which is true.
inexperience,
True.
racism, and
True.
money
True.
problems.
Okay, so it's not going to play it anymore, so I'll just read. And I might fumble over a word here and there because I didn't plan on reading, you dig? Anyway, Garvey's plan was what was the Black Star Line for? Because you got a lot of UNI members like Greg Phillips who can revise history. Vision, create a black owned global, okay, this ain't country, nationwide. This is global shipping company, which is retarded. Okay, as part of Garvey's larger plan, uh, larger larger Pan Africanist project. See, that's the Umar right in them right there. Not a citywide, statewide, global. Like, dude, can you just show a proof of concept first? So, chat, I want y'all to understand, man. Even if it's with me, okay. Well, I dare somebody challenge me. When I say I teach chess, I dare one of y'all say, "Well, I'm biased. Won't you prove your concept of proof of concept?" I dare one of y'all to challenge me on what I say I do and what I'm good at, what I'm great at. In my state, in my cities, my name ring bells in tournaments. I taught over thousands of kids, thousands. So I dare somebody say, "Where's your proof of concept?" I dare somebody do that because not only do I got that, well, I'm gonna need yours now. You dig? I'm a household name in a couple cities in my state. How you talking about? Okay, yeah. Like I said, I taught thousands of kids. My name ring bells. These kids are 19, 20 years old now. When they started with me, 6, 7, 8 years old. I dare some of y'all to go ahead and call my credentials in question. So I know a lot about proof of concept because I when I first started, I just was an introduction teacher, right? I didn't even dream of kids winning trophies and being the best in their city. I didn't know I could do that. I just wanted to be an introduction to just show you the basics, basic stuff, and that's it. I didn't know they could win trophies, and I didn't know I had that much value that they could win first place trophies and dominate tournaments. I didn't know that until I seen, they went in trophy, they went in tournaments, came back and said, "Hey, look, I got a first place." Like I'm shocked as hell. Like, I'm trying to hold it together, like I knew it the whole time. Like you got a first place weird. Like what tournament? Like what? Yes, I hope like hell some of y'all dare. I dare y'all to challenge me. Because I guarantee you, most of y'all are failures compared to me. When I have an idea, that shit is going to be successful. I said, I'm gonna teach kids something, they're going to be successful. I taught my nephews how to shoot the basketball. They're pretty good right now. All right. One almost beat me in a horse. He had me on E. I mean, he had me on S. He had an H. I had S. I just refused to lose to my nephew. I was on S. He had H. I came back and cooked him. He never won that day. Now, no, he won some games, but I won overall. I think I forgot how I played out. He got to tell you, but he ain't win. All right, and when we played 21. I won the 21s. Okay, so they ain't never beat me, and like they're way stronger than me, taller, all that. But I'm Curry anyway. Garvey's plan. What was the Black Star Line for? Vision: create a black-owned global shipping company as part of Garvey's larger Pan-Africanist project. Stupid, stupid. Start small, get get small wins, and then that'll build momentum for the larger, bigger picture, which none of them ever do. Garvey didn't start small, neither did Jay Morris, and neither did Umar Johnson. All these charlatans, they go for it all because they can afford to take small losses because then you're not gonna believe them about a large project. Doesn't that make sense? Why would they take a risk? Why would a charlatan take a risk losing on a small level? Then who would ever believe him on a large level? Because then they got to lie about how he lost on a small level, how white supremacy intervened, and the Bilderbergers and all these type of folks stopped them from being successful. Okay, so it would connect. So now, look at this dream. It would connect black communities across the U.S., Caribbean, and Africa. Bro, can you just do it in America, my boy? Can you just at least do it in New York? This dude is talking about across the U.S., the Caribbean, and Africa. Hey, look, yo, listen, chat. Some of y'all are smart, some of y'all are dumb as fuck on that spectrum. But the smart ones, this guy talking about doing something that was never done ever before. The US, the Caribbean, and Africa. So again, like you're the anomaly, you're the genius. Transport goods, people, and ideas between African and the diaspora, lay groundwork for Black economic independence and eventually repatriation to Africa. So most of these people who believe this bullshit, all of them who are doing something for themselves, they all started small. None of them had a big dream and just went with that. So they're like hypocritical. They're giving their leader a pass. This infrastructure plan, buy and operate a fleet of steamships for what? Because he was caught on the White Star Line. He named this company the Black Star Line after the White Star Line that owned the Titanic. You dig? This guy buy and operate a fleet of steamships. Use ships for cargo, passenger travel, and commercial trade. Oh, I mean, that just sounds beautiful. Operate under the UNIA Universal Negro. This don't say African here. It don't say Universal African Improvement Association. All right. Garvey was not claiming that. He claimed Africa's for Africans, but you see what it's called though. It's called Negro. It's not called African. All right. As part of a broader black nation building movement bullshit. The Black Star Line was inspired by white-run companies like the White Star Line, which owned the Titanic. See, just so I asked the question: what needed to happen for Garvey's plan to succeed? So I want to know the opposite. We know he failed; he's a failure, but we want to know what could have happened where he could have been successful. Reliable ships. So that's not really his fault. It is, but it's not. Qualified maritime. This is his fault. Staff, proper shit. This is his fault. Efficient business. This is his fault. Steady capital investor trust. This is his fault. Legal and political. This is not his fault. Pan African alliances across borders. He didn't get that far yet. Okay. Okay. Watch this. Unforeseen and foreseen obstacles that likely led to failure. All right. So things that he didn't see that sidetracked him, caught him off. White. Systemic racism is going to get you. But so that's the unforeseen. But the foreseen is things that he is responsible for. Right. He's not innocent of his failures. Okay. Like I said, I was contacting Brother Reggie via email. And I don't want him, I want him to come on and have a decent, honest conversation, but I don't want him to believe that I'm gonna take it, easy. I want it to be a difficult um conversation, man. Oh my, yeah, these people, man, these folks out here, man. Okay, these folks are here. Okay. Anyway, bad ships, worst deals. Garvey's team bought used, poorly maintained ships including the Yarmouth, which had serious mechanical issues. Some were refurbished beyond repair, constantly breaking down, needing expensive repair. Now that ain't really his fault. There were some ops in his movement that helped that happen. FB, if you chat piece, hey professor, let me give you let me get Professor Wrench 1 second. Professor deserves Professor deserves a wrench. Okay. All right, let me cut this keyboard on right here for the iPad. Yeah, Umar is definitely FB on code. Umar is definitely Marcus Garvey reincarnated. Yeah, scamming is yeah. So Chosen says Myron is a grifter for white supremacists 100%. I'm gonna get him. Don't worry. This whole live is going to be directed towards him eventually. He was definitely an agent. That's why Europe took him in. Yeah, Marcus Garvey Nat Turner speaking about, which is one of the worst, which is one is worse, Myron for Ringo, because that mess I heard from that Ringo dude was off cold. Ringo been dodging me for like 50. I show videos of me calling out Ringo for like 13, 14 years. That's how long I knew of Ringo. Okay, dude's a clown. Uh yeah. That dude always been a clown and a dodger. You have draft dodger where he's a smoke dodger. Okay, so a maritime expert later said the ships were unfit for the open sea. That's not really Garvey's fault, but I'm glad they were because Garvey, you'll see. I ain't gonna say nothing right now. I ain't gonna spoil. Okay, so now you're gonna see inexperienced staff. Garvey didn't consistently hire experienced shipping professionals. So that's why I'm glad that this was this case because the staff that he hired, they were gonna die in the sea, dude. He hired us. Like where think about that, chat. Garvey basically hired us to work a ship. Garvey didn't consistently hire experienced shipping professionals. Many managers were loyal UNI members, but not trained in shipping, logistics, or international trade. So this is remember this was exposing like this scam with the school that Umar had. Well, same thing here. Like you don't hire your buddies, bro. You hire professionals, that's educated. Result: poor record keeping, late deliveries, ship damage, confusing at port. So this what happened. So let's say if the ships were like intact. Let's say if this was not the issue. This is still the issue. So they were still going to be a failure because inexperienced staff, confusion at ports, ship damage, late deliveries, poor record keeping. You dig? Like nobody wanted to just qualify themselves. Oh, I keep forgetting to do my boy, but I'll get to him in a second. Probably next. Poor financial management. The Black Star Line raised money by selling shares to black people for $5 a share, but the company lacked professional accounting and financial control. That's Garvey fault. Money was spent faster than it was earned. Garvey fault. Investors became investor. This is important. This is what they don't want you to know. Investors began losing trust due to lack of transparency in return. That's some Umar shit. You dig? U.S. government sabotage. J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI targeted Garvey early on, which I'm look, I own this. I'm proud of J. Edgar Hoover stopping this scammer from getting us all messed up. They infiltrated the UNIA, spied on meetings, and helped prosecute Garvey for mail fraud regarding stock sales. Now listen, chat. I'm gonna say this boldly. The J. Edgar Hoover was only successful. He was only successful infiltrating bullshit organizations like the UNIA and the Black Panthers and the KKK, the Klan. I'm gonna say it again. J. Edgar Hoover was only successful infiltrating bullshit organizations, the UNIA, the KKK, and the Black Panthers. More legitimate organizations he could not infiltrate. He just couldn't. But bullshit, people run on emotion and this one man could save everybody type bullshit. Uh, Toting around guns for no good reason. The Black Panthers, yeah, they are a bunch of stupid young kids. Yeah, they all got infiltrated. But when J. Edgar Hoover tried to infiltrate more thorough organizations like the Nation of Islam, you can even throw the Moorish science in there. He didn't get anywhere. He didn't get anywhere, man. The Deacons for Defense, more thorough organizations, they got absolutely nowhere because it wasn't, those other organizations weren't built off emotion, right? They weren't built off emotions. So these are Black Panthers, you feel good type. Let me tote this gun around for no good reason. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna use that ego shit against you. In 1923, Garvey was convicted and later deported, crippling the movement. That's another thing. Just because he gets deported doesn't mean the movement should stop. You know, they can act like Tariq Nasheed is Jamaican and deport him, and we're still FBA and we're still gonna move the ball. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Harsh shipping industry realities. Shipping was high risk and capital intensive, even for seasoned businessmen. Even for seasoned businessmen. Garvey faced rising fuel costs, port fees and custom red tape, insurance and maintenance expenses, racial discrimination at U.S. and international ports. This was a given. That's why he should have stayed in tune with A. Philip Randolph. Global politics and colonialism. The African continent was under European colonial rule, not open to black-owned fleets or settlements. This is something that Tether Garvey was unaware of because he don't know about what we know about over here. But W. Du Bois, you know, set him straight. A. Philip Randolph let him know, like, hey, man, Africa ain't what you think it is, my boy. There were no African governments to partner with for land, trade, or repatriation. Caribbean elites and white colonial officials also resisted Garvey influence. Okay, so let's go here. Martell McCoy, Peace Going Brown. Uh, all right, Matron. Let me see. So random comes in random piece, my boy. Let's see. Nat Turner, Myron got the bigger voice. Ringo really unknown. Yeah, yeah. But you know it's crazy. Ringo is an unknown, but he's unknown, but he's really known. Like that's the weird thing. Like he's like a guy who's unknown, but he's like known. You know, he's just known in small sectors, but he's really, you know, he's really influential. Ringo is looking for shock value and clout. He's been out for over a decade. Can't, yeah, yeah, yeah. Dude, it's just not for you, my boy. It's just not for you. That's all I gotta say. Didn't Garvey marry a white? I don't even know who. Not Garvey. From what I know, he married a black woman. I'm pretty sure that when he got out of prison and went to England, he married a. Now his wife did leave him though. So a our matron, I believe, from what I know, his wife did leave him with the kids. So maybe he did marry a white woman. I don't know, but my research says that he was alone in London. Seal tight organization, Deacons, yeah, Deacons, yeah, right, Martell. and that's the fact that people don't want to admit to. It's like, yo, the J. Edgar Hoover he was a bunch of clowns. His administration was a bunch of clowns. They could not infiltrate tighter organizations. Yeah, think about the organization that he's known to dismantle: the KKK, the UNIA, and the Black Panther Party. That's it. That I could tell off the top. What else? The Moorish Science Temple is still here. The Nation of Islam is still here. They did not dismantle the Nuwapians. They pretty much self-imploded. You dig? So other Deacons for Defense, like yeah, like other organizations, NAACP, like they were unsuccessful most of their career. J. Edgar Hoover was around for a long time. They were unsuccessful most of their career, but they were successful with radicalized groups like the Black Panther Party, the KKK, and the UNIA. They were successful, those radicalized organizations. Okay, so how realistic was Garvey's plan? Owning ships, technically possible, but require expert planning, funding, and upkeep. Now, this is obviously Garvey wasn't aware of this. Whether he was sabotaged or not, this was above his head. Connecting the diaspora, visionary but logically logistically difficult without solid trade routes and infrastructure. This was over his head right here. I mean, we just got to admit that. Repatriation to Africa, very difficult while Africa was still colonized and hostile towards mass migration, is right. Yeah, it was just like a failed mission. Funding through stock sales, unstable without regulation or strong investor protections, right, 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 right. That was just horrible. Running a global shipping empire, which is stupid. Extremely difficult without deep maritime knowledge and global support systems. Yeah, so basically, like without the government sabotaging and infiltrating him, like this was never going to go anywhere. It was just too big of a project. Start small, you goddamn tether, and work your way up. Like, think about everybody who's big right now. Think about all the businesses, Walmart. Think about all the CVS, all the great businesses, Microsoft right now, Adobe. They all started small. Adobe came free with your computer. In my 40s, I remember getting Adobe free. You can't even get it. You can't even own Adobe right now. You can only license it. It came free with your computer at one point. Y'all ain't ready, man. Did Garvey hire qualified people to operate this Black Star Line? No, no, not consistently. Some ship captains and engineers were competent, but others were politically loyal but unqualified. He was also undermined by internal corruption. We ain't talking about that. We talking about this. They were loyal but unqualified. Overall, lack of technical and business expertise doomed the company's daily operation. Right, right, right. It had nothing to do with infiltration. It was doomed to fail. Of course, the FBI, again, like I said, when J. Edgar Hoover see how weak the foundation is, he's like, oh, we got him. When he seen how weak the Black Panther Foundation was, oh, we got him. When he seen how weak, now think about all these groups, all the groups I'm naming you were really ran on emotions, high emotions. The Black Panther Party, UNIA, and the Klan, they were all ran on high emotions. And J. Edgar Hoover used all that against them. That's why they all failed. All right. So anyway, that's it on that. Okay, I think we're ready for the next thing. And we'll come back to Pan-Africanism, right? Because I want to talk about what Garvey influenced later, right? How his Pan-Africanist rhetoric influenced other matter of fact, before I do that, let's go with FBA. No, 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 I'll wait for this. Because I asked about FBA culture. I just want to see what AI say about FBA culture. And they actually produce some stuff. So we'll read it in a second. Okay, just give me a second. Let me See where I'm at now. What is this? Okay, yeah, this could wait right here. We pick at the chat real quick. Deacons of Defense don't get enough. Exactly, zero. He married 2 times. Black women, both were named Amy. Wow, that's crazy. American Dream. He says drop the link. All right, bro. Can you bring something, bro? You have been the only one to bring absolutely nothing to the podcast, bro. You just troll. I'm gonna drop the link. I'm gonna be quiet for at least 5 minutes, and let's see what you bring. Like I really don't believe you contribute. Like you don't even want to contribute. Okay, you kind of want to undermine the podcast. But here you go. Here's the link. Okay, I'm gonna let you go in before I even say one word. I'm gonna let you just go. You got 5 to 10 minutes, bro. Just go. Don't ask me any questions. Just go. And I will. You could, if the question, just ask the question. Make sure they're rhetorical, and I will take them, and I will respond later. But as the link, just go. I don't even want to respond to anything you got to say until you're completely done. Because when I say Kwame, when I'm long-winded, I say, all right, Kwame, you go. He'll start, and the first thing he does is ask me a question. I'm like, dude, do you want to go or not? I was just long-winded. I didn't even ask you a question. I just was long-winded. Go. I want you to be long-winded behind me so it could be even. He asking me questions. All right, dude. All right. So American Dream, there you go. All right. Yeah, they don't research better than me, man. They just don't. All right. So American Dream is here. He's on mute. Unmute yourself and go in. It's 6:05. I'll give you the 6:15. 10 minutes straight. Like I'm like not intimidated at anything you got to say, brother. Unmute and go in.
Hey, what's happening, Ron?
Yo, man, it's a good day.
Peace to you, my brother. How are you?
Yes, sir. I'm great, man. Yourself?
I can't complain at all. I don't know if I'll need 10 minutes. I just had a quick question I wanted to ask you. Um,
Okay.
I thought I heard you a couple of days ago. You said you mentioned A. Philip Randolph,
Yeah.
that he was opposed to immigration.
Yeah. Immigration restrictions
Yeah, and you said that most FBA leaders were most African American leaders were opposed
against
to
immigration.
immigration.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Because
So
we.
if that's true, why
Mhm.
is it that that FBA people like you and Tariq say that it was African Americans that made it possible for immigrants to come here?
No, I don't agree with that.
You don't agree with what?
What you just said.
That y'all made it possible for immigrants to come here?
Directly, no. Indirectly, I believe yes, but indirectly, no.
How indirectly, if your leaders were opposed to it, how did they indirectly allow us to come here?
Okay, good question. Because the 19 civil the civil rights movement had nothing to do with immigration. This is not a question. This is a statement of fact. Had nothing to do with the LGBTQI community. Had nothing to do with any other thing. Had everything to do with 100 years of disrespect and violation of FBA constitutional rights. So that's what we marched and fought for. So when I got passed in 1964, the very next year, the 1965 Immigration Act was passed because of what we did, right? Because we got something passed. Like they basically bowed down, and then there was an undermine. Say, all right, well, look, let's just open the floodgates for
Who
immigration
bowed down?
because
Who did you say about who bowed down?
uh, 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 those who fought against immigration. So immigration was I studied American immigration. So you had the Chinese exclusion, you had the Naturalization Act, you had so many different acts, 1917, 1924. 1890. You had so many different immigration acts that kept the quota low from other people coming to the country outside of Anglo, who they believe was Anglo-Saxon. So they just even Mexicans were limited, Chinese, like I said, was excluded, and black people ain't have a chance in hell. So
Right. So Black Americans weren't fighting for immigrants to come here.
no, no,
It
no.
just happened regardless. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
makes sense to me. So if y'all didn't fight for us to come here, how are we tethers?
No, you're not tethers, bro. Listen, bro. I just said,
You called me a tethered. I'm not only a tether to you, I'm a dirty, dusty tether is how you refer to me.
I
So
listen,
but the question is if you guys didn't make it possible for us to come here, how are we tethers that are leeching off of y'all?
bro. I don't. That's not how I define tether. It's not.
Oh, I'm sorry, how do you
It's
define
somebody.
tether? How do you define it?
Okay, tether is a foreign way to say coon.
It's a what?
Foreign
You
way
said
to
it's a
say
fun,
coon.
a foreign way to say coon. Okay, so you don't agree with Tariq's
Yeah,
definition
like
of tether.
no, I agree with it. I think you don't understand what he said a tether was. I don't think you understand his
You said
definition. I agree with
a
that
tether is
definition.
someone who comes, according to Tariq, immigrant. It was Black
Okay.
Americans that made it possible for immigrants to come here.
Okay. Wait, that part.
Not
Okay, that's not what
undermining
a
you, and
tether
that's
is.
what
But when
made
he
us
says that,
tethers.
no, that's not what he says.
No,
Now,
okay, I'll
listen,
have to
I
listen again.
disagree. Yeah, I disagree when he says that, right? Because that shows you he's not my leader. I disagree when he says we fought for
Sure,
immigration. We
sure.
did not. Or we did not. And
But you
it's not
do
a
agree that
bad
he does.
thing.
But you do
We
agree
just,
that he does say that.
yeah, he does. I disagree. I think
Okay,
it's strictly
all right,
correct.
okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah, I believe he's strong at some things. He's not that strong at, and that is one area he's not strong at. Like, no, we did not fight for immigration. It's not that we didn't want you to come here. We felt like we should get what's due to us first, and that was our ideology. It's like, hey, let's get what's due to us first, and let us get get adjust, progress, and then invite immigrants over here. But first,
Right,
we're first in line.
but from your understanding, throughout the years, African American leaders have fought against immigration.
I wouldn't. I would say,
And if
okay,
that's true, and if that's true, like if it's true that African American leaders fought against immigration, what does Caribbean people owe you?
nothing. Some respect. That's about
Okay,
it.
thank you.
I mean,
Okay, that's awesome. It's so great to hear you say that, bro.
yeah, you owe some
Thank
respect.
you very much. I appreciate you, huh?
Yeah, you owe some respect.
Respect.
Like,
I
yeah,
mean,
be-
I mean,
because
I, I
because
respect you. I thought I came in respectful.
nah. What I mean is, um, respect the fact that America is a global power, half due to our contribution to this country, forced or not. Like our contribution to this country is the reason why people had this is an alternative for folks that just want a better life. Like you might be a doctor in your country and you're not, getting your pay, your worth. You might come over here to get your pay, right? But some other people come over here looking for refuge or asylum seekers. But all those reasons is like, respect. Even though if you see us, even though if you see us at our lowest point, it's like, yo, this country would not be an option if it wasn't for FBA contributions in this country. That's just a fact. So that's what we're
How
saying.
could this country? I'm sorry. Now I'm
Yeah,
misunderstanding again.
yeah, go ahead.
How would this country not be an option for African Americans? I'm sorry, for Caribbean people. How is it not an option because of African Americans when African Americans were opposed to immigration?
No,
So the
no.
fact that the fact that America is an option for Caribbean people would have nothing to do with African Americans. It's other people that fought for Caribbean people to come
Okay,
here, not
okay,
African Americans. So we don't. America is not an option for us
yeah,
because y'all were
okay. You're
fighting against
mixing.
us coming here.
Okay, you're mixing apples and oranges, brother. It wasn't about. So let me add more truth to what you're saying. So you're mixing truth with. I'm not gonna say lies. You're mixing truth with a misunderstanding.
Yeah, please clear,
So
clear it up for me,
yeah.
please.
So we were against immigration total. So that means white Europeans because they use white Europeans obviously at first to undermine us, right? They used white Europeans first. They were the main ones coming to this country, and they were undermining us. Like all of the progression we had, they'll bring the Italians over or the Irish over and undermine us and put them in front of us when they're just brand new here. But we the people who've been working cheap and forced. And when it's HOLCs, FHAs, and the New Deal to come around, they'll skip us. No, not skip us, exclude us and give it to those people right there. So we were against immigration, period. We was like, hey, deal with your nativists first. Deal with who's in the country first. Make sure we're straight, and then go ahead and extend an arm to whoever else want a better opportunity or seeking refuge or things like that. So what I mean is, without our forced labor and cheap labor, this country would not have the steel, it would not have the coal mines to have nuclear energy, right? That later came. That later obviously later came, but you had the coal energy. Like that wouldn't be possible. The trains, the tracks, the option to go towards the north, that would not be possible if we didn't sacrifice in the South. So the South took the sacrifice so the North can be great.
So why did the South go to war against the North if the South wanted us to be great?
No, no. It's the South did
I'm not.
not
I'm
want to
not.
go.
I'm not.
Okay, so
The
listen,
South. The South wanted to secede.
brother. The South did not want to go to war. It was the
The
North.
South did not want to go to North. Go to
No,
war.
no,
No.
no. And that's why they had scientific racism. They were trying to convince the North to avoid war. Why are you fighting to free these Negroes who are savages, who are going to be criminals and whoremongers and everything negative possible? They were trying to discourage them from going to war because they seen the inevitable outcome. Okay, that's when you got the Dixie line. Like you got
But
all
they
this
wanted
stuff
to secede. But they wanted to secede.
to the South.
Yes.
And what?
They wanted to. They wanted to leave. They wanted to be their own country. They wanted to
Only
secede from the
right,
Union,
right. Only
and
because
that's
of
why
the
the war was
wait. Hold
called. They
on.
wanted to
Stop.
secede
Stop.
to keep slavery.
Slow down. Only because the North was trying to say, "Hey, get rid of slavery." Right. Right. So when the North came with that angle, the South was saying, "Nah, we ain't doing that." Right. And but the South was like, "Joe, just leave." So now so the South felt like they put them in a position where they now got to be their own country because they had compromises before the Three-Fifths Compromise and other compromises before where they said, hey, let us, they had slave states and there are other states that became part of America who decided whether it be slave or union, and it was making it even. So, like, let's say if you were Florida, because Florida came late, if you were Florida, and let's say if there was like an odd number, there was like more favoring the union, then by default you got to be a Southern slave. You got to represent slavery. You have to. The South put that pressure on you. But let's say if the South had the odd number advantage, then the North would say no. Florida got to be union, and Florida was actually union. So that was the thing. They was trying to keep it even. Whoever comes new, they're going to be the balance breaker, the balance adjuster. Like you're going to add to the balance. You're not going to increase the power in the union or the power in the South.
Right. But here's the difficulty I'm having understanding this. Right. In my estimation, slavery is what fueled the economy of the South,
Right.
and
And North.
industrialization.
And North.
No, slavery was very limited in the North.
No, no, no,
90%, no, slavery was very
no.
limited in the North.
Brother, listen. Let me help you out. The North actually funded slavery in the South. So let me help you out. The South directly ran the plantation and they directly benefited. But the North banking, their banks were funded by that. So the North would have ideas and or like an invention, and they'll sell it to the South to help the slavery be more successful. So if they
I don't
have
believe
something,
that. That's
okay,
not true.
okay, brother,
I think what you're saying is not true.
okay, so brother,
I
look,
think
what
the
I'm gonna,
North was I think the
okay,
North was opposed to slavery.
okay, brother, listen, what I'm gonna do for you right now, I'm gonna pull some up for you because I have all this stuff. I'm the receipt guy. I said Tone got the numbers, but unbiased Ron got the clips and receipts, brother. When I show this to you, okay, will you say you're wrong and I'm right?
Depends on what you're showing me
I'm
and what it
showing
says.
you.
But like I
Okay,
said, I think
okay,
slavery was limited in the
yeah,
North.
but
There wasn't a lot of slavery in the
okay,
North.
that has nothing to do with it, okay, brother. What I'm saying. You're not okay. I heard you loud and clear, and what you said is not really wrong. What I'm saying is, yes, 90% or more or a little less, but 90% of slavery, physical slavery, was in the South. Yes, 10% was in the North. Okay, but the North was funding the South to continue being a great slave making states. That's what I'm saying to you, brother.
Then when did the North change its mind about slavery and decide to go to
Okay,
war against it?
okay,
How did they
good,
go
good.
from funding it? How did they
Okay,
go from funding it to starting a war to end it?
good question. Because when the North felt like they got enough, they felt like the South was 100, which they really were. The North felt like, hey, what you're doing, because remember, they look. Okay, let me start from scratch. What I said earlier to Kwame, I said, Kwame, you ever thought about? So I'm gonna go away from America. I'm gonna bring you to everybody else that's black, the Caribbean and Africa. I said, bro, Kwame, you ever realized that almost all of the African countries and almost all the islands, they all got their independence at the same time, like around 1960? That's not a coincidence to you. It's because they felt like they got enough. They're good now. They don't need this anymore. This physical dependency. They felt like they got enough. They got machines now. They got the cotton gin now. We don't need to rely on people. They knew that was a burden.
You
This
talking about the
country.
British? You're talking about the British?
I'm talking about every colonizer. They nobody wanted to be 100%, which they were at first, but the goal was never to be 100% dependent upon slavery work, because when something happens and you can't get that popping, you're gonna have a problem. And that's why Napoleon ended up selling Louisiana, because what happened in Haiti. So people realize, as long as we're like slavery dependent, if something goes wrong, we're done. So the North was focused on expansion. And they're like, yo, we can't expand if you guys are just filthy, greedy, focused on your plantations. It's like, yo, y'all not even trying to expand. You're just greedy and focused on the money coming from slavery to your state. You're not trying to expand. So Northerners seen the bigger picture. They seen that this country can never grow relying and being 100% or close to 100% reliant or dependent upon slavery. So North started to undermine itself and had things like the cotton gin and more industrialized things to do things, getting like trying to be independent of forced labor, cheap labor. But the North realized that. The North realized, yo, this country can't expand and be great and be a superpower if we're reliant on slavery, because all they gotta do is rebel like those Haitians, and we're done. You dig? So they were trying to get away from that. So they used the slave work and the slave money to industrialize. That was the goal. Like right now, brother, right now you have like Wawa, or in Jersey we have Wawa. And in your state you might got what you got, but that's self checkout. The goal is to get rid of human beings, like depending upon human beings doing the job for you. The goal is to let me just have a machine do it for me. I ain't got to pay machine shit. It's a one-time fee. Get it in here. That's it. So that's how the North knew about at that time. Depending
So
upon
is it because
human.
they wanted to expand? Is it because the North felt like there was no expansion going on, or is it
Okay,
because they felt like they had gotten what they wanted? Because you
both,
said both things.
both, both,
You said the
both.
North felt like they had gotten enough, and then
Right.
you said they felt like it
They
wasn't
can now be
expansive.
in right. They can be right because they was focused on expansion, and also they felt like they got what they wanted, and that's when the South was tight, because the South didn't prepare for life outside of forced and cheap labor. The North did. So the South said, okay, just because you're independent of this type of labor doesn't mean we are, and you ain't gonna force us out of this because we had nothing else, right? Because the South was not nowhere near the North at that time, and that's what ultimately led to the Civil War. The South was
But
a hundred,
the North was never dependent on slavery as
but
as the South
but
was.
brother, you're not understanding. They were they did although they didn't have the physical man force as the South, they depended on what the South produced. So what they would do is they will again sell. They would come. They were innovators or inventors. They would come up with things that they would sell to the South, so the South can produce more cotton, rice, sugar, tobacco, and things like that. And the North banking system, brother, listen, I'm gonna help you out now. What I'm good at. The North banking system was came about through slavery. But once they found a way to be independent and industrialized, where they no longer felt like they needed physical forced labor, that's when they said, "Hey, man, we're good. Like, hey, that's it." And the
Do you
South
think
was
that's
like,
true? Is
"Hey,
that true
brother,
of the British as well? I'm sorry, is that true of the British as well? Do you think that's
yeah,
why the
yeah,
British?
yes, yes." The British industrialized way before we did. Yes, that's exactly what they did. That's why all
And
these
you think the
countries.
British, right? I agree. And you think the British also gave up slavery because of in order to industrialize.
Yeah, because brother, the goal is to don't be dependent upon a man, because all you need is a rebellion like Haiti, and you're done. And Napoleon
So you
had to
don't think it
still,
was so you don't think it was the abolition movement that ended slavery in Britain. You think it was they just realized that we wanted to
yes,
do they just said we're going to do something different,
no, not something different. The goal was
something more
to
expansive. We're going to industrialize and do something better.
right, and that was the goal. As I gave you a modern comparison, the goal is to use people like you and I could go in business, and we could need help, right? Let's say you and I just doing it ourselves, selling, let's say, watches, right? Nice watches. And at some point, brother, if we're successful, we're going to need help, but we got to pay people to help us. So the goal is to not pay those folks anymore to put more money in our pockets. So we're gonna try to come up with an idea where we don't need to pay those folks anymore. We can get a robot or something to do it for them and to let them go because they need
Do you have
501c.
I'm sorry, Ron, do you have a source that speaks about the British and North America ending
Okay,
slavery
wait.
in order to
Wait, hold on.
industrialize?
Stop. You brought the British. I'm focusing on, and
But
I
you
could,
said, but you agreed that that's what I was
okay, yeah,
asking
hold
you,
on. Yeah,
and you agreed that that's what they did. So I'm just asking if you have a source for that.
they did, but I'm not a British guy, right?
Do you
The
have a
British,
source for that?
okay, yeah. So I'm gonna
Do you
bring
have a
you to,
source that says North America did it? Do you have a source for North America?
okay,
That North
let
America
let me,
stopped
yes,
funding slavery in order
yes,
to be
okay,
industrial.
let me focus on America. So watch this.
Sure, that's fine.
I got you, and that's why who I am, and you guys are who you are. All right. So let me show this for you real quick. Which one of my Okay, let me
Because
see. New York.
it does sound like you're kind of rewriting history a little bit.
Okay, I know. Okay, it sounds like it. Cool, great. So now let me just source up and get rid of you real fast. And and I want you to say you're right. That's all. That's all. Which I am because none of you guys can research better than me. So I'm gonna prove it right now. Because I had already. One thing about me is I already researched stuff in advance. I know what people are gonna run to, and I got them. I got them. So I already had a bunch of tabs pulled up, and I even got a video, which I'm probably gonna lean to in a second. All right, so I'm gonna do this. All right, so let me do this. So let me look at my video. Hey, chat, how y'all feeling, man? This is light work for me. I had already did the research, and if I need to, I'll just do it over because I have a paid version. Thanks to my supporters, I could just type it in there and just get it. But I don't want to waste this search if I don't have to. So, 1 second. Download, okay, videos. All right, where we at?
Thought you would have been able to pull it up by now, though. I'm not gonna lie.
My brother, you were not part of the. It doesn't matter how, but when I pull it, what I don't. Again, I already explained just now, brother. I got a paid version. I just could type it in there. Okay, but
Yeah,
if I
I'm
already
saying
got,
I got a paid version too. And when I type it in,
okay,
yeah, it just
okay.
pops right up.
What? Okay, read it then. Type it in and read it. Okay, let's waste your
I'm
search.
driving. I'm not. I can't
Oh
type
yeah, yeah,
anything right
yeah,
now.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
driving.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
driving, bro.
yeah.
I can't type
I know,
anything.
I
You got, but
know,
go ahead, man. But go ahead. You
I
got the
know,
research.
I know. Okay, so brother, well, I gave you 15 minutes free to yak and
My
tether
15
all you
minutes
want.
are up. My
No,
15
no,
minutes
no.
aren't up yet, are they?
I'm saying all right, so now chat, you see? He started acting like he was sincere and he started to be sarcastic. This when they gotta go.
No, I'm not
All
being
right,
sarcastic. I'm
okay.
just saying. I just thought it would have been quicker to pull up than that.
Well, how much time do I got left? What's the shot clock
Listen, you
reading
don't have to
now?
do the 50. I'm good. I'm good with being here more than 15 minutes. I'm
Okay.
okay. I don't mind. You're the
All
one that
right.
set the time limit.
Okay. Yeah, for you, I said because I'm saying you could go as long as you want, basically. I mean, 15 minutes, a long ass time. But I expect you to use 15 minutes. You want to ask me questions randomly. I mean, how much?
I didn't think these were random questions. I thought
Okay.
we were on topic
Okay, it
for the
doesn't matter.
most part.
It don't matter how long. The bottom line is that is do I have the information or not?
Right.
Okay. Okay. Boom. So we'll do a new search. So now, just so I'm clear, before I read something great and you act like I didn't ask the question, give me a second real fast. Let me do my online WordPad. Okay. So just let's be clear here. Okay, my brother Jabari voice. What is all this garbage? Okay, so your question. Look at this shit. Hold on. All right. Okay, so your question is what again? So I can just make sure I can answer your question. Hey, peace, Bob
Do
J.
you have
Boxing.
a source that says that North America stopped funding slavery in the South in order to industrialize? That they stopped funding the slavery. The reason the reason they fought against slavery was not because of the abolition movement, but it was because they wanted to industrialize,
All right,
and
cool,
that was their
cool.
motive.
Let me share my screen. Got it. My screen. This is why I know y'all tell to fuck with me. Okay, so here we are. I just typed this in, so you see right here. How did New York benefit from slave labor and why they wanted to end slavery? So I wrote that just now. Very
I'm sorry, what's the
transparent.
question you typed in? What's the question you typed in?
I typed in how New York benefited from slave labor and why they wanted to end slavery.
Okay.
Okay. So how New York benefited from slave labor and why it eventually moved to end slavery. New York is often remembered as a center of freedom and progress, but its early economic power was deeply
You're
rooted
being
in.
a little bit unfair. You know that, right, Ron?
Go ahead, explain before I
Because
do all this
and the
reading.
reason I think you're being a little
Yeah.
unfair is because of the states in the north, it's pretty clear that New York and New Jersey were among the most racist states in the north, even during slavery time.
All right. Okay. The ancestors are making you uh we can't hear you. The ancestors are definitely muzzling you right now. We can't hear you. Okay, so brother, let me just read the research and okay. Yeah. So I'll wait till you clear before I read all this. So brother, I'm not interested in your subjective opinion. You asked me to do something. I pulled it up. You even asked me what I typed. Okay. Yeah, but you're still breaking it. I don't hear you good. Okay, so chat, he even asked me to
But I can hear you. You
reiterate.
can read. I can hear you.
Okay, cool. So chat, he even asked me to reiterate what did I ask the AI, and I repeated it. He said, "Okay, good." Okay, so he didn't even impose the question that I asked the AI. So now I'm about to read it. He steps in, brother. Relax. Let me read it, and if you think something was left out, tell me. I'll type it in AI again. Okay. See AI. See
Sure,
when
that's
you're
fair.
cool. When you're an honest person and you research, your name is unbiased. AI is going to always agree with you. Okay. So I'm cool. Like I don't care. I could read this. And you can say, "Hey man, make it more fitting to this." I'll do that. I know it's going to agree with me because this is what I do. This is who I am, and you are who you are. Okay. How New York benefited from slave labor and why it eventually moved to end slavery. New York is often remembered as a center of freedom and progress, but its early economic power was deeply rooted in slavery. The city and state of New York benefited immensely from slave labor, both directly and indirectly. And yet, by the early 19th century, powerful economic political shifts led many in New York to support the gradual abolition of slavery. Now, how did New York benefit from slavery? Enslaved labor in New York itself. New York had more enslaved people than any other northern colony state. In the early 1700s, over 40% of the New York City households owned slaves. Enslaved Africans worked as dock workers, carpenters, farmhands, domestic cooks, and nannies, etc. Slavery was crucial to construction, roads. Hey, let me read that over. Slavery was crucial to construction, roads, buildings, docks, and churches like Trinity Church were built with enslaved labor. Profiting from the Southern slave economy, Wall Street and New York's banks grew rich by financing. Y'all can't fuck with me. So they financed, like I said, Southern cotton plantations, slave insurance policies, shipping networks for sugar, cotton, tobacco, and rum. I said rice, let's add in rum in place of rice. Shipping and insurance industries boomed by transporting enslaved people and slave produced goods. New York was responsible why the South was successful, like I said. New York merchants sold tools, like I said, textiles, and food to Southern plantations, profiting from slavery without directly owning slaves. My boy, I'm him, and you are who you are. Okay, let me keep going. Number three, triangle trade participation. New York ships were part of the transatlantic slave trade. Oh, transported rum to Africa, slaves to the Caribbean, sugar and molasses back to New York. New York distilleries turned Caribbean molasses into rum, yes, fueling a profitable cycle dependent on slavery. Huh? Yeah, go. He just woke up, but he had to wake up anyway. I can't help sleep too late. Why New York moved to end slavery? Economic shifts. As the Industrial Revolution took hold, New York began shifting toward a free labor economy, factories, wage workers, etc. Many elites saw slavery as less profitable and incompatible with modern capitalism and industrial growth in the North. Black resistance, number two, black resistance and abolitionist pressure. What do you want? Yeah, give me free black communities in New York, e.g., Weeksville, Brooklyn, organized abolitionist efforts, churches and newspapers, abolitionist groups like the New York Manumission Society, founded by wealthy white men like John Jay, lobbied for gradual abolition. Now, notice it said wealthy white men like John Jay. So after they got their return on their investments, they're like, yo, man, we good. Like I said, here you go. Okay. What do
Why
you
would
want?
they say they're good and they go into another business to make
Wait.
more money?
I got it. No. No. Ain't no bait and switch over here. Uh, okay. Here, take it. He just woke up, so he's tripping. Here, he's asleep. Here. Okay, let's go sit down. Yeah, let's go sit down. Oh, it fall down. Okay. Wait, why she didn't reset? Stupid ass thing. Here we go. All right. Boom. Okay. So abolitionist groups like the New York Manumission Society, founded by wealthy white men like John Jay. Now, if I Google how he got his money, I guarantee you from those inventions they were given the South, lobby for gradual abolition. Enslaved people themselves, and anytime you want me to stop, just say stop. All right. Enslaved people themselves resisted through escape, sabotage, and petitions for freedom. Okay, so number three, moral and religious arguments. Christian revival movements. The Second Great Awakening spread the idea that slavery was morally wrong. Quakers, we know about Quakers from the ACS, Methodists, and other religious groups played a key role in anti-slavery education and activism. Number four, revolutionary ideals and hypocrisy. After the American Revolution, many New Yorkers questioned how a nation founded on liberty and justice could uphold slavery. Some saw slavery as a threat to democracy. So some saw slavery as a threat to democracy, especially as new ideas about citizenship and equity spread. Okay, hold on one second. Okay, here, come. Go.
So Ron, let me ask you,
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
think that the war was started because the North wanted, like, because you're giving two different types of reasoning. You're giving the economic reasons that, and again, it's interesting that you put in New York rather than the North, because New York is only one of those
I
northern
didn't,
states.
brother. I didn't
But
put it. Hold on. Let me correct you,
that's
brother.
what I thought. That's what you
Wait,
typed
no.
in.
Just what you
I
heard me
thought you
read.
typed in, what did New
I
York? Why
got
did
it. I
New
got it.
York and
I got it. Okay, so stop. Let me correct you, liar. I put the
I'm
North in. Okay,
I
so
said I
I'm
thought that's what
okay.
you
Right.
put in. Can you
But
scroll
don't
back up?
think. Yeah, but don't think. Yeah, I can scroll back up.
Can
But
you
stop
scroll
thinking. Yeah,
back
I
up?
must wait for me to get the computer. God damn. Yeah, but that's your problem with thinking. Okay, that's what tethers do. They think too damn much. So let me go
But
to
I
this. Let me.
even when you put it up, I
Okay,
mentioned, I said
wait.
it's
Okay,
interesting that you would start with New
wait.
York.
Okay, stop guessing, my boy.
I'm not guessing. I'm just telling you what I said when you started reading.
Okay.
When you started reading, I said, it's interesting. I said, we all know that New York is one of
Oh
the
yeah.
most
So
racist states up north.
so
So
I
it's
did.
interesting that you would start
Okay.
with that. You would type in New
Okay.
York
So
rather than. That's
I
what I
did
said
put.
to you.
Okay, cool. I did put New York, but what do you
Yeah,
want me
my
to
question
put?
is, why didn't you the North? Because you were talking about the
Okay.
North. New York was
I
only one
got
of
it.
those northern states. And what I'm
I got
telling
it.
you is,
I
hold
got it. So
on,
relax.
New
No,
York.
wait.
No,
Okay,
let
but
me let me just say this.
you
But,
know.
but let me say it.
Wait. No, bro. You wait. First of
Let
all, let
me
me finish
say what
reading.
I'm saying,
No. Let
bro.
me finish reading real fast. Then you can say what you want to say. Then I will replace New York with the North. It doesn't matter. It's still gonna
Okay.
be the same thing. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know how that even helps your argument. All right. All right.
No, I'm trying to explain why I think it's a
Yeah,
difference.
but I'm saying it wouldn't matter because I'm going to replace New York and put the North. Okay, I put New York. You know why chat put New York? Because New York had 10% of the slaves. Like they had most of the slaves. So why would I put another mass. Why would I put Massachusetts? Most of 10% of the slaves were in New York. 90% was in the South. 10% was in New York.
10% of the slaves in the North?
Yeah, that's what I put New York.
Yeah, they were all in New York. So why would you go to New York? So
I
if
mean,
10%
bro,
of the slaves
where
were in New
where
York, that
else?
means
Okay,
New York wasn't anti-slavery.
why? What
New
made you
York
say?
wasn't.
But that was not my. Yo, what made you believe I said New York was anti-slavery?
You didn't say New York. I said you didn't say New York.
Yeah. What is
Well,
your
asking
argument?
you,
Okay,
I'm
look.
saying
I First of all, you're
New
breaking up. All right, hold on, brother. I'm look. It's confusing right now. You're confusing me. He's just talking. You're breaking up for one. You're breaking up. I'm cooking on him now. You wanna? Okay, don't matter. Get your signal right and come back. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Go. All right. Get your internet right and come back. Yeah. Look. Go ahead and so the internet dropped off. Yeah. These tethers. Yeah. I'm so confident,
So
secure. He can do what he want to do. Go ahead, brother. You want spaghetti? Are you back? Okay. He's back.
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Go on. Okay. Say what you got to say. Go ahead. How that sound go?
No, what I'm
How
saying
that
is, I
song
think,
go? Say what you want to say,
yeah, I think it was like, when did New York abolish slavery?
brother. Off top. Well,
Yeah,
definitely. Oh yeah, it had to be around. I'll say late 1850s, early 1860s.
right. And that was New York was one of the last northern states
Okay, brother.
to abolish
What is
slavery.
okay? What northern place? Right. I put New York where most. Okay. Let me tell you.
Massachusetts.
Okay. All
Massachusetts.
right. All right.
The
Why
first
Matt?
state, first, because that's the first state to abolish slavery in the
Okay,
North.
brother. I'm gonna just look. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna do because you got mad. I put New York. I know there was a small number of slaves enslaved people in Massachusetts. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna finish reading, and then matter of fact, I'm gonna stop reading. Right? I'm just gonna rewrite it and
Because
say
we're talking, no, here's why I had a problem with you
no,
bringing
no,
up
no,
New
no.
York.
I'm just gonna
That-
put the wait. No, no. Look, because I put New York because I felt like that's where majority of the slaves were in the North. Okay, so this is
But
what I'm gonna do.
why would you pick the one
Okay,
slave
so
state in
I'm
the
going
North?
to put North.
Why not pick one of the
No,
non-slave
I'm not
states
going
in
to
the
pick.
North?
How about this? How about this? How about I let AI decide? AI, I'm not going to
Okay.
direct AI. Okay, I'm giving you the reason why I picked New York because I felt like majority all of the slaves were in New York. Okay, fine. So I'm going to just say the North, right? I'm going to replace New York with the North because right now we're just all over the place. No problem. I'm just going to put the I'm just going to put the North. All right. And we'll see. AI is smarter than both of us.
I'm not
If
hearing
they if
no,
they say
I'm not hearing
Massachusetts,
anything you're
fine.
saying.
If they say New York,
You're breaking up or on my end.
nah, I'm breaking up on your end only. What do you want? Okay, sit right there. Okay. So I'm going to stop reading New York. Yeah, believe me, it's chat. No tether, no more Black history than me in this country. So we can do whatever you want to do. I'm cool with it. Let me just get this cartoon straight. Get this shit here. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So I'm going to just put north, and I'm gonna let AI talk about the northern states. So if Massachusetts is so important,
Yeah, can you
I
hear me?
yeah, if Massachusetts is so important, then we got to have confidence that the AI will talk about that. How? Okay, so now I'm gonna say north. I mean, I don't understand how this goes with when we first started talking. I said the north, right? I didn't say New York. I went to New York because I know that most of the enslaved FBAs were in the north. But when we first started talking, I kept saying north and south, right? So now I'm going to put in the north. I'm going to do a whole new search. Okay, so I'm going to ignore New York. So I'm going to do a whole, yeah, I know I'm cooking them. Every time I move the goalpost, but it don't matter where you move it to. It's going to be an L, right? Because I know my history. Okay, all right. So, because when I started cooking about how New York was benefiting from slavery, how they financial banks, my man was like, oh, 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 oh. Okay, so now, and so the question now I put how, because remember, when I read the question back to you with New York, you had no problems with it until I started cooking, and then it became an issue. But I agree that I was saying North and not New York. So I don't have a problem with just saying North. Okay, so now the question is how, so it's the same exact question. How the North benefited from slave labor and why they wanted to end slavery. So this is the North. How the northern U.S. benefited from slavery and why it eventually wanted to end it. While slavery is often associated in the southern United States, as the North was deeply economically tied to slavery and benefited immensely from it, even after most northern states abolished slavery. At the same time, a mix of economic evolution, political calculation, and moral awakening pushed northerners, northern leaders, and communities toward ending slavery, though not always for pure humanitarian reasons. Okay,
Can you hear me, Ron?
yeah, here you good.
Ron, can you hear me?
I hear you good. Okay, so now we're here. Number one, how the North benefited from slave labor. Northern banks and finance. This is even worse.
Can you hear me, Ron?
Yeah, I hear you good.
Okay.
Hear you good. Yeah, so let me just make sure my audio is tight. Hold on. Hello, hello. Yeah, I'm good. Okay. I believe it's even worse. I think you had a slight, small, minuscule chance before I think it's over now. How the North benefited from slave labor. Northern banks, not just New York, northern banks and financial institutions financed southern plantations through loans and credit. Exactly what I said earlier. They financed the plantations. Banks in cities like New York, Boston, and Philadelphia provided capital for buying enslaved people, land, and equipment. So the North provided the finances for the South. Number three, slave backed securities and insurance were common. Enslaved people were used as collateral for loans in the North. Example, New York Life. I put the North, it keeps saying New York. Okay, whatever. And attend
Because
and
it was New York, one state in
yeah,
the north.
hey man, I said New York. You said go to North. It's still saying New York. All right, New
Yeah,
York
because it
Life.
was mainly New York, the most racist state in the north.
So why did I change the search up then? I don't understand. But anyway, example, New York Life and antenna insurance issue policies on enslaved people's lives. Okay, so before I go further, but expound on that point that you just made.
What point?
You said
What point?
email. Go ahead.
What point? What point do you want me to elaborate on?
What you just said last about New York.
Yeah, I said New York. Even today, New York State is one of the most racist states in the in the un in the Union. And New York was one of the last states to end slavery. So New York didn't really want to end slavery. And if you notice, but if you read, it's mainly northern banks, and those northern banks, there are a few northern banks and northern bankers that were investing in slavery, but that's not, you can't say that represents the whole North. They're
Brother,
just a few banks.
brother, I believe that Chat GPT and modern AI knows better than you and I combined. So you're not going to tell me to pull it up and now I'm reading it and you're going to come behind incorrect AI. Okay. That's something I won't do.
No, I'm not correcting it. Okay,
Okay,
go ahead and
cool.
read what it says. Read what
Yeah,
it says.
please. Because that I will never be that bold. Like if I'm debating one of you folks, okay, even I was debating Focus, right? And he pulled up AI on me, what I do? I just left it alone, right? I'm
No, read
not
what it
dumb
says.
enough. Okay, cool. I'm not dumb enough to debate AI. All right. Whatever AI says is like, okay, whatever. All right. Okay. How the North benefited from slave labor. I read about that and the insurance issue policies on enslaved people's lives. Okay, so now let's go to northern shipping and trade.
No, can you
Northern
can you
ships
read more why they ended it?
brother, I'm going to read the research. You had me replace New York and type in the North. So now the question was, how did the North
Question is, why
benefit
did
from
they end it?
slavery?
Did they end it for
Uh,
industrialization or for humanitarian purposes? The question is, why did
Right, but
they
we
end it?
but we but we also talked because you didn't think the North even benefited from slavery earlier. So you kept making your point was it's all about the South. And I said, yeah, the North benefited from slavery. You said how? So now that's why I
And so the way the
question.
North
Hey,
benefited were a couple of banks in New York. That's to
okay,
be
so
expected, but
why don't
that's
you
not.
let me?
But
Yeah,
that's
but why
not
don't
the
you finish?
North.
Okay, but let me finish reading the research. See, I don't do that. If I type it in there, I read everything. I'm unbiased. You're not. Okay, so northern, and it's never a lot. Like the AI don't overload you with a whole bunch of just nothing. It gets to the point, so it's never really too much. Okay, so northern shipping and trade, northern ships transported. So it was the ships, the northern ships, enslaved Africans during the transatlantic slave trade until it was banned in 1808. So it was the northerners who was financing the ship. Although the physical
A
labor
couple of
came
rich
from the south.
Northerners, Ron. These were rich, wealthy people. That's
Brother,
not.
can
That's just
I?
a couple of people. That's not.
Okay,
That's not most of the people in the North. Most of the people
who?
in the North didn't
Hey,
want slaves.
listen, chat. I'm reading it verbatim. He just coming in for, well, I don't know why. He's saying, look,
Because
he's arguing.
you're talking about
Okay,
ship companies, you're talking about shipping companies. Those are
dude,
wealthy, those are a
dude.
couple of wealthy northerners.
American Dream. This is why they say
Yeah.
your time wasting. I'm over here reading the research and you're debating me. Brother, how about go debate ChatGPT? I'm reading.
Ron, when you paid for ChatGPT, did you get a
Yeah.
disclaimer that said
uh,
ChatGPT could be wrong?
Hey, this and who's right? You?
Did you get no, I'm just asking.
Okay. Oh
Did
no,
you
wait,
get a
no, no.
disclaimer?
No, no, yeah,
Did you
yo.
get a
Look,
disclaimer that says ChatGPT
all
can be
day
wrong?
long, hey, bro, all day long, I'm gonna trust ChatGPT over
But
your
did you get a
crazy ass.
disclaimer? Because I paid for ChatGPT too, and the
Okay.
first thing I got
Well,
was a disclaimer.
okay. Well, good look. I'm gonna mute you because if ChatGPT could be wrong, then for sure, hell, your crazy ass can be wrong. Okay, so I'm gonna mute you so I can finish reading. You wanted to argue this. This is what you could bring up any subject. You could say basketball, baseball, soccer. You brought up this. Northern shipping and trade. Okay, so you're mad that the North was heavily involved in slavery. Like I said, you thought because they didn't run plantations that their hands were clean. And I said, no, sir. They were involved like the South. And that's why we're here now, because you said you questioned my research. So you're not going to come in and then then try to expose that there's a possibility that Chat GPT could be wrong, but all of a sudden you're right. You need to produce some links then, my boy. If you're right, produce those links. Okay. So of course, anybody's gonna never nobody's gonna be absolute. People are gonna because Chat GPT is ran by human beings. So human beings can mess up. But Chat GPT, I guarantee you, is every website this guy can go look for, every website the chat can look for proof. Chat GPT is searching all those. I got it on slow research, by the way, my boy. You saying you're paying like me? Well, I got it on slow research. I wanted to take his time and find all of the major credible sources. I don't know what you be looking at, but you definitely don't look at what I look at because you wouldn't even have the argument. But you're getting killed right now. It's okay. RIP to the American dream. Enslaved Africans during the transatlantic slave trade until it was banned in 1808. So the North was funding the slave ships all the way until slavery was banned. Slave grown products like cotton, sugar, tobacco, and molasses. So earlier it was rum and now molasses. Triangular trade. This is the North. New England rum to Africa, the North was involved in. Enslaved Africans to the Caribbean, the North was involved in. Sugar and molasses back to the North was involved. Okay, so they were hands in
Talking about
deeply.
shipping companies.
Okay, right. So the North was involved. It looks like chat. The North was involved way more than the South. Okay, so northern factories and textile mills. Cotton from the South. Now here we go. Listen, my boy, this is what I was trying to educate you on.
I just want to know why they ended it, Ron.
Okay, I got you. But listen, you called it my show.
You're schooling me on stuff I don't need to be schooled on. I asked you a specific question.
Okay, but this ain't about you. You understand that? You called it my show. It's what I want to talk about. I'm the educator. You're the son. Remember, you're the son, right? So the son can't tell dad what to do. So now he's crashing out. This is how he get put in the waiting room. He's crashing out like he normally does because he can't fuck with me on no level at all. Okay, so northern factories and textile mills. Cotton from the South was the fuel of the Industrial Revolution in the North. What happened? Cotton. That's us. So when I said these tethers benefit from us coming to this land as an alternative, they need to thank us because they went to the North for industrialized jobs. The first bullet point was cotton is, not was, is cotton from the South was the fuel of the Industrial Revolution in the North. That's why I said you guys got to respect us coming over here. This wouldn't be an alternative without our labor. That was the beginning of our conversation. Yeah, ready yet? That was the beginning of our conversation. We're gonna get there, my boy, but I want to get to how the North benefited because you debated me on that. I ain't forget that. You know, this is recorded. You debated me on the North involvement. You act like it was a Southern thing. The North was hands free. They were good Christians. And now I'm debunking that, and you keep trying to chime in, trying to crash out so I can put you in the waiting room or mute you, which I don't want to do. But you're like leaving me no choice because you want. I could have been done already. I mean, but this is good information. Why would you not want to know this stuff? All of us are, picking up game. We're gonna get to everything, but this is called context. You got to learn. You got to know how reading comprehension works. You don't just skip to the end. We get the context because if I skip to the end, he's going to ask questions about what's already there before the end. Chat, believe me. Yes, chat, believe me. If I just skip to the end, he's going to have these dumbass tether questions about what happened in the middle. So I'm trying to avoid that, right? I'm a responsible researcher. He's not. He's not known for shit.
Can I
Besides,
read something when you're done, Ron?
sure you can.
Sure, just let me know when I can read something.
Yeah, but make sure you state your source. 'Cause I gave you mine. You put your
What's the
source
same
out
source
there.
as yours, Chat GPT.
Okay, cool. Well, you got to share your screen then. No, you can't read shit without sharing your screen because you can say whatever you could claim whatever you want. So you ain't sharing the screen, you ain't reading shit. I want to read along with you, like I have you read along with me. I'm fully transparent. Yes.
Sure, we could do
Okay,
that.
wait. Okay, cool. Ain't nobody reading nothing without that screen being shared. All right. Hmm. It's hot. Okay. All right, 1 second. And whatever you read, it better respond to what I'm reading, or you will be muted because we had a conversation earlier, and if that don't apply to what's being read right now, you will be muted. Okay, so cotton from the South was fuel of the Industrial Revolution in the North. Mills in Massachusetts. You want to talk about Massachusetts? There you go. Rhode Island and New Hampshire turned the South. Look, what did they do? Yeah, you didn't mention Massachusetts. Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and New Hampshire turned Southern cotton. That's our cotton. It actually says it. Picked by, in parentheses, it says picked by enslaved labor into textiles for domestic and global markets. So our labor was literally providing jobs for the North. Lowell, Massachusetts, and other mill towns boomed due to slavery. Who? What happened? The North, Massachusetts, and other mill towns boomed due to slavery. Even as they were located in free states, they benefited from our labor. Like I said, you need to thank us. You don't have to. Could be a tether and die. I give a damn. I don't need y'all acknowledgement. Manufacturing goods for the South. Northern manufacturers produce clothing, tools, plow, chains, and ironware used on plantations. Chat. I literally said the North was coming up with inventions to give to the South to improve slavery. This tether was arguing with me. I said this is going on. We're reading it now. Clothing, tools, plows, chains, and ironware were used on plantations by the northern manufacturers. So I'm glad you said no New York, and now we get to talk about everybody involved now from the North. Many of these goods were sold directly to Southern slaveholders, profiting Northern industry. They were directly tied. Their economy was directly tied to Southern slavery. University and cultural investments. Elite institutions like Harvard, Yale, Princeton, all these prestigious colleges, and Brown received donations from slavery connected wealth. Some Northern clergy and academics owned enslaved people or supported slavery to preserve institutional ties with wealthy Southerners. Now, let's get to what you want to talk about. Why the North moved to end slavery. So now we see that the North got it popping from slavery. So I said, hey, the North, they got enough. They want to move on. They got factories down. They got the cotton gin. They're like, hey, man, we're trying to expand. We don't need that physical labor. We don't want to be dependent upon human beings to decide how successful we are. Look at the Haitian Revolution. We don't want to deal with that because Napoleon had to sell Louisiana as a result.
But that
Why the
doesn't
North
say that.
moved?
Where does it say
Okay,
that?
okay, all right. Let me mute you real fast. All right, bro. Listen, if you cut it again, I got to put you in the weight room. Okay. Okay. Economic evolution. The North transitioned from agriculture economy to an industrial wage-based economy. The northern labor market began to rely on paid immigrant workers rather than enslaved labor. So this was a transition. As slavery became less useful to the North economy, moral and political arguments gained ground. I told you they started to be independent on it. Free labor and ideology. Many Northerners came to believe that free labor, paid work, by freedmen was more productive and morally superior. Free labor was tied to the rise of Republican ideals, especially those promoted by figures like Abraham Lincoln. Abolitionist movements and Black resistance. Northern abolitionists like Frederick Douglass, William Lloyd Garrison, and Harriet Beecher Stowe pushed anti slavery into public debate. Free Black communities, churches, and newspapers played a key role in challenging the moral legitimacy of slavery. Enslaved people themselves resisted slavery through escape, rebellion, and writing, making slavery harder to ignore. Religious and moral revivalism. The Second Great Awakening, early 1800s, helped inspire Christian based anti slavery advocacy. Many churches split over the issue. Northern Methodists and Baptists turned against slavery, while Southern counterparts defended it. Political pressure and sectional conflict. Slavery expansion into new Western territories like Kansas, Missouri. Missouri was a hot state over debate. And California caused political crisis. Many Northerners opposed the spread of slavery, not necessarily because they loved Black freedom, but because they feared slave labor would undercut white wages. So we're seeing why. Undercut white wages. Who can compete with free labor? By the 1850s, Northern opposition was less about freeing enslaved people and more about protecting white labor and national unity. You see that? By the 1850s, Northern opposition was less about freeing enslaved people and more about protecting white labor and national unity. And this is why they had the ACS in the South. Get your ass to go to Liberia. Summary: banking and finance. So here we go. Here's the benefit from the North: banking and finance, loans for slaveholders, slave insurance, NYC banks. Shipping, triangular trade, shipping, cotton and sugar. Manufacturing, tools and clothing for plantations, textiles, mills use slave cotton. Massachusetts, your state, Rhode Island. Culture institutions, Ivy League schools funded by slavery. Reason for ending slavery, explanation, economic shift, wage labor, slave labor in northern economy, free labor ideology, belief in freedom and economic merit, abolitionist pressure, Black and white activists spread awareness, religious revivals, Christian-based opposition to slavery, political concerns, desire to block slavery from new Western states. Final thought, and we're done. The North profited from slavery deeply, deeply, even while moving toward abolition. They still were profiting. The push to end slavery came from a mix of evolving economic interests, moral activism, and political expediency, not purely humanitarian ideals. The history shows that while the North abolished slavery earlier than the South, it was never fully outside the system. It helped build and sustain it. They helped build and sustain it, even though they abolished it. All right, brother, go ahead and read what you got to read. Share your screen and read what you got. Okay. Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm trying to share my screen. Hang on.
Mm-hmm.
My screen. Do you see my screen?
No. It's getting ready to do it. Not yet. It's saying preparing, but not yet.
Do you see it? Do you see anything?
No.
Hang on, let me see if I can go over the. What is this? I'm on my phone, bro. I'm not quite sure how to share my
All right,
screen when I'm
but
on
just
my
go ahead and read
phone.
it.
I don't normally do it.
Just go ahead and read it. There's already wasting time right now. Just go ahead and read it, man.
Yeah. Before I read, I just want to make note that none of what you read said anything about them fearing what happened in Haiti, but that's beyond the point. But what I typed in was what fueled the Industrial Revolution in the North. And the answer is the Industrial Revolution in the northern United States was fueled by a combination of economic, geographic, technological, and social factors. Here's a quick breakdown of the key drivers. One, natural resources, rivers and streams provided water power for early factories, especially in New England. Coal and iron, especially for powering steam engines and building machinery. Two, technological innovation. Textile machinery like the spinning jenny and power loom boosted cloth production. Steam engines allowed factories to be built away from rivers. Interchangeable parts pioneered by Eli Whitney made mass production possible. Three, labor supply. Immigration. A steady influx of European immigrants provided cheap labor. Rural to urban migration. Farm families moved to cities for factory jobs. Four, capital and investment. Northern banks and investors poured money into manufacturing railroads and innovation. Five, transportation infrastructure. Railroads and canals opened up markets and moved goods efficiently. The Erie Canal in 1825 connected the Great Lakes to the Atlantic, lowering shipping costs. Six, political and social factors. Protective tariffs, go Trump. Tariffs shielded American industry from foreign competition. Education and innovation culture encouraged invention and entrepreneurship, and that's where it ended. So I just wanted to, interestingly enough, ChatGPT didn't mention anything about cotton or anything like that. But what I would say, what I would ask you is, do you think that because in my estimation, the other factors that it mentioned, when it mentioned from what you read, it mentioned the moral activism. It mentioned blacks escaping, and I think it mentioned Frederick Douglass, Abraham Lincoln. Um, in my estimation, all of those factors were more prominent factors in why the North went to war. Right? I can't imagine that the North went to war um, over anything other than than what it said about what your article said about Abraham Lincoln, that it was a moral issue for them. That was like, in my estimation, all of the moral stuff that it mentioned is more are more prominent reasons why the North went to war to end slavery. And in what I read, in terms of what fueled the Industrial Revolution, what I read was just, in my estimation, again, is just a broad. Can you hear me, Ron?
Yeah, go ahead, finish, man. You just
Yeah,
ranting,
from my
rambling.
estimation, what I read in terms of what fueled the industry in the North, in terms of natural resources, technological innovation, labor supply, those things to me are a lot more broad, and it just makes a lot more sense to me. That's more because it's just so much more broad, and it encompasses so much more of the economy, and just everything. And it didn't mention anything about, cotton from the South. It didn't mention any of those things. Um, so, I'm wondering, right, Ron? I'm really starting to wonder about Chat GPT, because if you noticed, when
No,
you
no,
put
no, no,
stuff.
no, 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 no. I'm gonna mute you. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. No, I ain't gonna do that. We're gonna start, and no, we're gonna do that. See now, I don't see when he uses it. Listen, and I'm ready to respond because it's how you ask the question. So he said we didn't read about cotton, but it said some key things in there. It said farmers moved to the cities. Farmers moved to the cities. The Great Migration. 6 million of us moved to the cities. We populated Chicago and other Detroit and other factories. You're right. So we came and got cities popping immediately. So it's the right question. Now he asked a broad question. So of course it's going to factor in everybody and everything that contributed to the industrialization. Now, I never said we only were the reason. Okay, so he could have easily asked the question, did cotton, and it ain't just cotton, my boy, you filthy tether. It's not just the cotton. We talked about rum, we talked about molasses, tobacco, and rice. Okay, so you got to ask them specifically, or just say black enslavement or black labor. Did it have? I mean, why are you afraid to ask Chat GPT specifically? And then, like a filthy tether, he wants to go and try to question the engine. Not here. Not here. We won't do that here because what I can do is I can go and show you. We could ask Chat GPT. You can actually ask Chat GPT to provide sources. See, a tether like him wouldn't know that. American Dream. Where's the Jamaican? Where's the Jamaican Dream? It's the same tether who thought brain drain was an issue internally. He didn't realize when people say brain drain, that's always an external issue, not an internal. That he found out with me. The dude's a horrible researcher, and he's afraid to ask specifically, did this impact the industrial revolution, or to what degree? You actually can. The Chat GPT is that specific. You can ask Chat GPT what percentage, what this and that. And this is why I know what we did that's true, and I know what some of us say we did as cat. Yeah, I'm different this tether. I'm honest. I'll say, nah, we ain't really do that. I know we say we did that. I'll say, nah, we didn't really. No,
Ron, can I
no,
ask you a question, Ron?
no. Because I'm gonna read now. I posted you had your turn. You wanted to talk and challenge the research. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna read the research. No more questions because I allow him to go talk. Go 15 minutes, 10 minutes. I said go in, and you could have asked questions at the end of whatever you had to say. Five. I said 10 minutes, bro. Go in. He didn't want to do that. He asked a question, and I'm not done with the first question. Okay, I asked specific. I said New York. He got mad. I said, oh, North. And then he go and ask, oh, bro, he even admitted it was a broad question that it was a lot, there's a lot there. Because again, Chat GPT is gonna make it precise. Like you gotta ask Chat GPT to be exhaustive and detailed and all that type of stuff. But if you don't, Chat GPT understand that laymen and women, non-researchers are the main ones asking questions. So it's gonna consider that. You got to talk to Chat GPT like you're talking to a contractor or your politician or the librarian. You got to give whatever you want. Okay. So no, stop asking me questions. I'm not done with the first
But it
argument.
didn't say they feared a revolution, though. It didn't say they.
Okay, brother, be quiet. Let his mic go now.
That's what you said they ended it for, because they didn't want Haiti to happen.
All right.
Isn't that what you said?
Okay. Sure. All right. Goodbye. 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 Okay. This is how you get cooked and still want to keep running your mouth and won't let me go. He's mad that he act like the North had nothing to do with slavery. That was him who was acting like the North were hands free. It was a Southern thing. Bro, I'm gonna chop this up. And if you chop it up, I'm gonna report your ass and get your channel taken down. Because you disrespectful. So no, you don't have permission to share anything. Because by the way, YouTube notify us when our content is being used. I just never act. I've never flagged anybody. I never demanded somebody to delete something, but you will be the first person. Okay. So okay. So I'm just gonna share my screen and just read whatever that's there. Okay. So the North went to war with the South in 1861. primarily to preserve the Union, but the deeper causes were rooted in slavery, economics. All I did was look, hey, chat, look how simple my question is. It's not long. What main reasons the North went to war with the South? Nice little ghetto, grammatically incorrect. Be very detailed. So you can talk to it. Okay, I didn't say give me a synopsis or summary. The North went to war with the South in 1861, and if you start running his mouth in there, okay, brother, let me time you out for the duration. I'm gonna time you out for 24 hours, bro. So now you can't comment until tomorrow, 7:24 p.m. Okay, you had your chance to talk to me live, you blew it. Okay, so now I timed you out for 86,000 seconds. How about that? You can't comment to us. And if you come with any other troll name, I'm going to time those out for 24 hours as well. Now, you're forced to just listen now, clown. Okay? Wow, look what I did. I didn't guide the research. Yes. Okay, go. So I didn't guide the research. I said what main reasons the North went to war with the South. I said be very detailed. Give it all. So I'm an honest researcher. I don't point it a direction. The North went to the, and I said, be very detailed because I want you to hear it all. Don't give a general like what he did. The North went to war with the South in 1861, primarily to preserve the Union. But the deeper causes were rooted in slavery, economic differences, political power struggles, and competing visions of America's future. While ending slavery became a central aim later in the war, the initial conflict was about succession and national unity. Below is a detailed breakdown of the main reasons the North went to war with the South. This is the conversation. He's trying to go somewhere else. I don't mind going somewhere else, but let's finish the conversation. You had 15 minutes to just rant and ramble, whatever telebabble you had. You decided to ask me a question, which you always do. Like you guys don't have any information. You can't just talk. So cool. I obliged you, and now we're here. Preservation of the Union, the immediate cause. Abraham Lincoln course mission. When Abraham Lincoln took office in March 1861, he vowed to preserve the United States as one unified nation. The Southern states had seceded and formed the Confederate States of America, declaring themselves a separate country. Lincoln believed secession was illegal and that it threatened the foundation of democratic government. Lincoln said no state upon its own mere motion can lawfully get out of the Union. Hey, okay. The North's perspective, if the Union dissolved, it would set a precedent that any state could leave the nation when it disagreed with federal laws. Many Northerners feared this would weaken the country economically, politically, and militarily. Slavery, the root cause beneath everything. I didn't say that. American Dream. Uh, okay, so we're here. Kwame, what do you say, Philip? Okay. So we're here. Slavery. No, let's talk about that electric car that you Googled the other day. Horrible research, Kwame. So slavery, the root cause beneath everything. That's what it says, the root cause. Economic and political power struggles over slavery. Slavery was the core issue behind Southern secession. The South wanted to expand slavery into new Western territories, while the North increasingly opposed it. Lincoln's election in 1860 signaled to the South that slavery would no longer expand. Though Lincoln did not initially aim to abolish slavery where it already existed, Southerners feared it was only a matter of time. So basically, what it's saying that he didn't, when he got to office, he was not going to stop slavery from where it already existed. He was going to prevent it and prohibit it from growing to other new states as they expanded westward. Okay. The South secession documents. Southern states clearly stated in their secession declarations that slavery was their primary concern. Mississippi, our quote, our position is thoroughly identified with the institution of slavery, the greatest material interest of the world, end quote. Texas condemned the North for proclaiming, quote, the debasing doctrine of equality of all men, end quote. Slavery was not just a moral issue, it was an economic and political one, which I said earlier. Constitutional crisis, state rights versus federal authority. Yeah, federalism. The South's argument. Southern leaders argued that states have the right to secede if they believe the federal government no longer represented them. Okay, they try and pull some old British stuff, some Britain stuff. They framed the war as a defense of state sovereignty. So now listen to what I'm reading, because these same arguments, these same points is repeated with the Republicans today. So listen to what now you will finally get it when you hear the Republicans, Fox 5 talking. They're going to sound just like the Confederates, no matter what color they are, brown, black, yellow, white, big eyes, slanted eyes. If they are Republican, when I'm reading about the Confederates, this is how they sound. And any rhetoric they have towards FBAs, this is the rhetoric from the Confederates. Okay? Number 3, constitutional crisis, state rights versus federal authority. The South's argument. Southern leaders argue that states have the right to secede if they believe the federal government no longer represents them. Okay. So now, if you notice today, a lot of conservative Republicans, they are against federal government. Okay. So just pay attention going forward. When you hear these conservatives, these right-wing regulars and extremists, watch how hard they are on federal government. So now you see all the conspiracies on the FDA, the FCC, the USDA, and you guys mirror this, the big pharma. These talking points stem from the Confederates down to your modern conservatives. And you stupid, dusty Negroes, you borrow these talking points and not knowing where they come from. But I know where they come from. That's why I usually cook you guys when you call in. Okay. So they framed the war as a defense of state sovereignty. The North's argument, the North, especially Lincoln, rejected the legality of secession. They believed that allowing states to secede would destroy the Constitution and undermine democracy. The South's argument. Southern leaders argue that states had the right to secede if they believed the federal government no longer represented them. Again, I already read that. They believe, okay, this is the North again. They believe that allowing states to secede would destroy the Constitution and undermine democracy. Number 4, economic differences between North and South. Industrial North versus agrarian South. The North had an industrial economy with factories, railroads, and wage labor. How did they get railroads and factories and wage labor? That was through our force. The South relied on slavery-based agriculture, especially cotton and tobacco, and that's what I told old boy. I said, okay, so let me time out your other channel for 30 minutes. All right, so your new channel, let me time that one out. I meant to select 24 hours, but I made a mistake and selected 30 minutes. Okay, so you're timed out for 1.8 thousand seconds, but once you come back in and rant, I'm gonna time you out for 24 hours as well. Okay, so industrial North versus, I read that. Okay. So as I said earlier, the South relied on people and the North felt that was problematic towards expanding. Tariffs and trade disputes. The North supported high tariffs to protect U.S. manufacturing. The South, which exported cotton and imported goods, opposed high tariffs and saw them as unfair government policy favoring Northern interests. You see, they're starting to beef over what affects slavery, their pockets in slavery. The South is getting pissed off. And the South is saying, okay, you guys can do the high tariffs because you guys don't solely rely on human forced labor. So it's easy for you guys to impose tariffs. They look like, yo, you trying to play us. You trying to undermine what we got going on. Political power struggles, balance of power in Congress. As new states entered the Union, the North and the South fought to maintain balance in the Senate between free states and slave states, which I argued what I told him before. But that tether, he's not here to try to have an honest discussion. He has an agenda, and his agenda is clearly trying to paint FBA that we're just some, I don't know, I can't even tell you what he's trying to paint us as, but he's trying to paint us as less than. And we could do the tit for tat because I could look at Jamaica and like, all right, well, okay, forget, okay, you win. We're less than whites. Okay, well, you're less than us because we're the minority getting ran over. You guys, the majority getting ran over. Okay, so you are the inferior, Africans. All right. The North wanted new territories like Kansas, California, Nebraska to be free. And it's going to talk about Missouri in a second. While the South wanted to expand slavery westward. You see, they wanted to expand the North, like Abraham Lincoln, like, listen, I don't mind you guys having slavery, but this word right here, take that out of your vocabulary. And the South was like, nah. Lincoln's election as the final straw. Abraham Lincoln won the 1860 election without a single Southern electoral vote. Damn. The South saw his presidency as a direct threat to their political power and way of life. Uh-oh. Number 6, the immediate trigger, attack on Fort Sumter. I think they shot like an FBA brother. April 12, 1861. After secession, Confederate forces demanded the surrender of Fort Sumter, a federal fort in South Carolina. When Lincoln refused, the Confederates fired the first shot, leading Lincoln to call for 75,000 Union volunteers to suppress the rebellion. Four more southern states then succeeded, bringing the total to 11. Summary table. Main Northern motivation to go to war, preservation of the Union, main public reason, secession, threatened nationality and integrity, upholding the Constitution, belief that secession was illegal and dangerous to democracy, slavery, core root of Southern rebellion, became a war aim after 1862, economic interest, North wanted to preserve its trade networks and Western expansion. They wanted Western expansion, but they didn't want slavery to follow that. The South was with Western expansion, but they wanted slavery included. Political control, fear of losing influence to a slave-holding South bloc, told you. Response to aggression, South attacked Fort Sumter, forcing the North to act. Final thought. The Civil War began because the South seceded to preserve slavery. Slavery. And the North went to war to preserve the Union. So the North wanted to preserve the Union. The South wanted to preserve slavery. Over time, especially after the Emancipation Proclamation, 1863, the North War aims to evolve to include abolishing slavery as a moral and strategic necessary. This same year, FBA were able to join the war. It wasn't until 1863 we can join the war. Before 1863, we were not allowed to join the war. Okay, would you like a follow-up on how Northern public opinion changed during the war or how Black Americans participated in the Union cause? Okay, so, all right. So he was the one who he didn't keep to the subject. If you go back, we talked about all of this. He wanted to undermine our labor force, like how our labor force did not only build a strong economy in the South. That's the conversation. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go back to it in a second. Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna go back to when he first called up. All right, this is a filthy tether, man. Filthy tether. I'll read y'all chat in a second. Let me try to get this back to when he first called up.
Most African American leaders were opposed
Against
to
immigration. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Because
So if that's true,
and he's so dumb. He had to like, how you mess up the definition of a tether? This guy, like, why don't tethers believe tether means all immigrants? Like, what's wrong with tethers' brain cells that they can't get the definition? Like, I didn't even waste time going into the real definition, playing a video of Tariq defining it 2, 3 times on different occasions. I just left it alone. The 19th civil, in effect, had nothing to do with the LGBTQI community, gay constitutional rights. So that's what we marched and fought for. So when I got past study these eight coming to the country outside of who they believe was Anglo-Saxon.
I respect you. I thought I came in respectful.
Nah. What I mean is respect
for us because of y'all, because y'all were fighting against us coming here.
Okay, you're
great.
No. It's the South
I'm not.
The option to go towards the North, that would not be possible if we didn't sacrifice in the South. So the South took the sacrifice so the North can be great.
So why did the South go to war against the North if the South wanted us to be great?
No. It's the South did not want to go.
I'm not.
Okay, so listen.
The South wanted to secede.
Brother, the South
did not.
And that's why they had scientific racism. They were trying to convince the North to avoid war. Why are you fighting to free these Negroes who are savages, who are going to be criminals and whoremongers and everything negative possible? They were trying to discourage them from going to war because they seen the inevitable outcome. Okay, that's when you got the Dixie line. Like you got all this.
Yes.
And what?
They wanted to leave. They wanted to be their own country. They wanted to secede from the Union.
Right. Only because.
And that's why the war was called. They wanted to secede to keep slavery.
Slow down. Only because the angle. So now, that became, and it was. I said, you got to. In Florida was even juster. Like you're gonna add.
Right. My estimation. Here's the difficulty I'm having understanding this, right? In my estimation, slavery is what fueled the economy of the South.
Right.
And industrialization.
Okay, so you see, American Dream, you filthy tether. Slavery fueled the economy of the South. I said and North. This is where it all went down.
The economy of estimation, having understanding this, right? In my estimation, slavery is what fueled the economy of the South.
Right.
And industrialization.
And North.
No. no, slavery was very limited in the North.
Okay, you heard him? Chat, he's dead. R.I.P. American Dream. He said slavery is what provided the economy in the South. I said, and the North. He said, no, no. Slavery was, so he said, no. I said something. He said something. I added to what he said. I said something. He said, no. So that means I'm wrong. I never said he was wrong. I added to. I said, hey, also the North. He said, no. You heard him say no. American Dream, you're dead. R.I.P.
Is what fueled. Right, but here's the difficulty I'm having understanding this, right? In my estimation, slavery is what fueled the economy of the South.
Right.
And
North.
industrialization.
And North.
No, slavery was very limited in the North.
No,
90%, no, slavery was very limited in the North.
brother, listen. Let me help you out. The North actually funded slavery in the South. So let me help you out. The South directly ran the plantation and they directly benefited. But the North banking, their banks were funded by that. So the North would have ideas and or like an invention, and they'll sell it to the South to help the slavery be more successful. So if they
I don't
have
believe
something,
that. That's
okay,
not true.
okay, brother.
I think what you're saying is not true.
Okay, so brother, look,
I think
what
the
I'm
North was I think the
okay,
North was opposed to slavery.
okay, brother, listen. What I'm gonna do, all right. So chat, you heard it for yourself. He said I was wrong. I said exactly what the research said. That's why I'm not gonna allow him to let me switch to the end of which started the war. You said I was wrong that the North didn't benefit largely from slavery, that they didn't come up with inventions to help improve slavery in the South. He said, no, chat, you heard it. No tether can fuck with me. What do for you right now? I'm gonna pull something up for you because I have all this stuff. I'm all right. So one more time, I'm gonna go back. You can hear it naturally, okay, without any intervention. You're gonna hear it. You're gonna hear where we disagreed at, and he was 100% wrong. And he want to change it to something else. No, sir, he's dead. So let me help you out. Listen. And North.
No, my estimation, slavery is what fueled the economy of the South.
Right.
And
And
industrialization.
And North.
No, slavery was very limited in the North.
No,
90%, no, slavery was very limited in the North.
brother, listen. Let me help you out. The North actually funded slavery in the South. So let me help you out. The South directly ran the plantation and they directly benefited. But the North banking, their banks were funded by that. So the North would have ideas and or like an invention, and they'll sell it to the South to help the slavery be more successful. So if they
I don't
have
believe
something,
that. That's
okay,
not true.
okay, brother.
I think what you're saying is not true.
Okay, so brother, look,
I think
what
the
I'm
North was
okay,
North was opposed to slavery.
okay, brother. Listen, what I'm gonna do for you right now, I'm gonna pull something up for you because I have all this stuff. I'm the receipt guy. I said Tone got the numbers, but unbiased Ron got the clips and receipts, brother. When I show this to you, okay, will you say you're wrong and I'm right?
Depends on what you're showing me
I'm
and what it
showing
says.
you.
But like I
Okay,
said, I think
okay,
slavery was limited in
yeah,
the North.
but
There wasn't a lot of slavery in the
okay,
North.
that has nothing to do with it, okay, brother. What I'm saying. You're not okay. I heard you loud and clear, and what you said is not really wrong. What I'm saying is, yes, 90% or more or a little less, but 90% of slavery, physical slavery, was in the South. Yes, 10% was in the North. Okay, but the North was funding the South to continue being a great slave making states. That's what I'm saying to you, brother.
Then when did the North change its mind about slavery and decide to go to
Okay,
war against it?
okay,
How did they
good,
go
good.
from funding it? How did they
Okay,
go from funding it to starting a war to end it?
good question. Because when the North felt like they got enough, they felt like the South was 100, which they really were. The North felt like, hey, what you're doing, because remember, they look. Okay, let me start from scratch. What I said earlier to Kwame, I said, Kwame, you ever thought about? So I'm gonna go away from America. I'm gonna bring you to everybody else that's black, the Caribbean and Africa. I said, bro, Kwame, you ever realized that almost all of the African countries and almost all the islands, they all got their independence at the same time, like around 1960? That's not a coincidence to you? It's because they felt like they got enough. They're good now. They don't need this anymore. This physical dependency. They felt like they got enough. They got machines now. They got the cotton gin now. We don't need to rely on people. They knew that was a burden.
You
This
talking about the
country.
British? You're talking about the British?
I'm talking about every colonizer. Nobody wanted to be 100%, which they were at first, but the goal was never to be 100% dependent upon slavery work, because when something happens and you can't get that popping, you're gonna have a problem. And that's why Napoleon ended up selling Louisiana, because what happened in Haiti. So people realize, as long as we're like slavery dependent, if something goes wrong, we're done. So and you can't get that. So chat. Now we're here. That's called an L. American Dream. You got to eat that, my boy. That's called an L. N L L A under my umbrella. L. Yo, that's an L, my boy. I know you're gonna try to find a way to twist it and turn it or extend the argument somewhere else. You said I was wrong. You didn't believe me. You're done. I will make that a short. Kwame, when I cooked you an electric car, that will be a short. All you guys are going to be clips. Okay. That's what I'm trying to say. No tether is going to tell me about FBA history. You're not going to be more research than me, bro. You got to have the majority spirit. Y'all ain't got it. Like, y'all got that voodoo spirit. That ain't enough, man. That's demonic. Okay. So that is literally called a cook session. That's called a cook session. So let me see what the chat talking about. So hey, let me give Kwame a wrench real fast. I'm gonna take it back again, but Kwame, put your link in the chat about A. Philip Randolph. I mean, again, I don't even know what this is about. Yeah, you think it's thinking. Hey Kwame, I gave you a wrench, my boy. Put your link in the chat. Hey Kwame, yes. No, no more, no more, no more. Kwame, listen, my boy. Do you understand that when you gave the link for the electric cars in some third world country in Africa, right? And that was completely pseudo. Kwame, do you realize your credibility became shot? It became grossly shot. So when you say things about FBAs, because you never talk about Jamaica, by the way. When you say things about FBAs, bro, we don't believe you. Like your credibility is shot. But I'll give you another chance. But I gave you a wrench, bro. Put the link in the chat about A. Philip Randolph, and then you know, maybe I entertain that conversation because I know you can't be worse than American Dream. And I gave you credit, by the way. I said you are. I be cooking you. But with you, I could learn something. American Dream is the epitome of the definition tether. He has nothing. He has nothing, but his research is piss poor. He just got cooked. He said he didn't believe me. I went to go Google, I went to research it, ChatGPT, and all of a sudden he started to question ChatGPT like it's flawed. Like his research, like his personal research is better than ChatGPT pulling from almost every website he can think of and more. Yes. No, go back in there. Cut the light on. Okay. So anyway, yeah. So American Dream, brother, no, not that one. No, leave it. Go in there. Turn that light on there. Yeah, American Dream. Yeah, that was a huge L you got from me, my boy. So I'm gonna send that link to Chef, uh, those folks. Let you know how a huge L you took with me. I'm gonna tell them, do not send y'all tethers over here, man. So how is he giving a history lesson on something our folks was directly involved? I have no idea. Starts. That's why I cooked them. Nat Turner said, "Why y'all stuck on Tariq so much? AB is bigger." Yeah. They need us to have a central figure like Marcus Garvey, like Dr. Umar, so they can pick on that person to represent all of us. Bro, it's not gonna work. So and then they got to argue about petty stuff, holidays, bro. If an FBA person, hey, Kwame, let me just correct you. Let me just not correct you, but let me just establish this, bro. If an FBA person want to celebrate Kwanzaa or practice voodoo, bro, they have that right. What is wrong with you tethers? Why do you think we can tell an FBA person they can't be a Pan-Africanist? They can't date white women. They can't date women of the diaspora. They can't date African women. That they can't have friends with brothers and sisters from the diaspora or the African content. They can't have friends with an Italian, bro. It is not a religion, you fool. FBA is it's a couple things, but let's just say it's just you're able to tie your lineage to the 1870 census or plantation or something around there. That's what FBA is essentially. And then it goes a little deeper. It's also about being on code because you could be FBA, but you could be Candace Owens. You could be Dr. Umar. So they are FBA. You could be Jay Morrison. They're FBA, but we don't rock with them like that because they are not on code. Okay. So I'm glad I'm able to establish that for the record. We don't control your mind. Your what you believe in, what you practice, gay, straight, it doesn't make you non-FBA. Your lineage goes back for FBA, regardless of what we hate about you. You're still FBA. You get it? Okay, let's move on. All right, so I tackled that. All right. Yeah, he got cooked with hot grease, Lord Maul. I mean, yo, that will be a short. You best believe him and Kwame gonna be shorts. Now I'm gonna leave Kwame alone too much. I'm gonna do one short with Kwame, and that's gonna be that electric car. I'm gonna leave him alone. But American Dream, nah. I gotta make him some good shorts. Okay. Why is I'm being frozen? Okay, so he put some links in the chat. Wow, he said, wow, A. Philip Randolph, a prominent civil rights and labor leader, did not directly focus on gay rights. His protege, Bayard Rustin, a gay man, became a key figure in both the civil rights and all right, brother. Listen, man, if you want to research a gay guy, that's on you. But I'm gonna say pause just for the sake of protecting myself. Yes, go ahead. That's blue. Okay, but I'm gonna say pause. If you're obsessed with a gay man, my boy, do you? Okay, but the fact you said that You admitted, you said A. Philip Randolph did not, that wasn't his thing. You said his protege, you're right? Because people got the right, hey, Kwame, I'm gonna save you some time. People got the right to do what they want to do, but you were acting like A. Philip Randolph was about that, but now you saying his protege, bro. His bro, what the? I don't understand. Their loyalty is definitely team white supremacy. Start now. I agree 100%. Okay. Yeah. 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 Kwame, look, he's a guy that just talks. He just not yo. Listen, chat. He's if you engage with him, cool. Entertain yourself, but just keep in mind that he's not reading anything you're saying and comprehending. He's just going to respond. Nothing you say is going to make him say, "Wow, that's a good point." Okay, I get that. All right, well, how about okay, okay, I see you. He doesn't do that. Tiger gave him some credit. I gave him some credit. You'll never see that on his side on us. Okay, because tethers are no different than white supremacists. Lord Maul said FBA named C.R. Patterson and his son was making cars back in the 1900s. What cars were Africans making back then? I'll wait. Africans, brother, collectively. Not a Kwame. I looked up Africans' innovations and inventions, brother Kwame. I gotta be real, bro. 54 African countries. So we're talking about a billion Africans, my boy, have not invented and innovated more relevant and practical things than 10, 15 million FBAs, bro. Yeah, wait. So, Kwame, hear me again. Hear me again. Hear me again. 1 billion Africans collectively have not, don't have more innovations and inventions than a few million FBAs, bro. 1 billion to compare to a few million. And we crushed them. Thank you. We crushed them in innovations and inventions. Right. So, and we don't even brag. You guys be drawing a comparison. We just be chilling. Okay. Like we just be chilling. Y'all be drawing these comparisons. We just be chilling. But we gotta give y'all straight then. We gotta humble you and say, hey man, I'm sorry, Africa, but we gotta cook y'all based on what Kwame said. But Kwame, can you just bring up Jamaica for a second? Because you're Jamaican, Coco. You're Jamaican. Can you tell us what Jamaicans have done? He talks about Africa. He talks about the Jews, the Germans. He talks about everybody but Jamaicans. Like I never seen a people that's why Tariq had he has something going when he asked them, where they from because that's important. Because I didn't think it was important. I didn't care where a person was from. Okay, but now I see why. Oh, well, this one, get that one, get that one. No, no, this one. No, no, go back. This that's nice. Yeah, that's nice. Okay. So they said, dude, researching the rainbow, dude. Yeah, yo, that's wild, bro. Yeah, you're desperate when you care about a rainbow guy, and I mean, brother, whatever the rainbow guy is on, that's his business. Which is pointing out A. Philip Randolph protege, bro. What did yeah? He said A. Philip Randolph's protege. What does his protege got to do with him, bro? I have not, bro. What? Yo, the chase is ridiculous. I never spoke about A. Philip Randolph protege. I spoke about A. Philip Randolph. Dude, you're out here researching the L, bro. You are crazy, bro. Yeah, these dudes be having these colorful agendas, my boy. And I see why they hate us so much because we are straight up pause. You dig? We're straight up pause. These dudes be on some other, man. This guy's focused on a protege. How did you even know? Yo, yeah, here's a better question, bro. How did you even know his sexuality? Like, what research did you Google that showed you A. Philip Randolph protege would have some LGBTQ? Like, what research you gave showed their sexuality? Yo, hey, Lord, that means he had to say specifically in the research, were there any colorful people around any black leaders in the during the time of civil rights? Yeah, that means like, yeah, he had to add a chat. He had to specifically ask Chat GPT or Google AI about the rainbow people directly. He had to ask that question. So that means he went out looking for it. You said I just researched, and whatever comes to me comes to me. He specifically typed LGBTQIA plus. That's wild, my boy. That's wild. But I get it, man. Your homeland's a bunch of primitive savages. So, okay, you can post as short or you want. That would better. That will be better than my short. My short gonna be a little better. But but he better hope I don't got that notification to flag, because if that notification, I'm gonna check in a second, because this channel will get that flag.
Okay.
But my short is more thorough because he directly said he don't agree with me and what I said, my conclusion. And then yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, coming from the source. First of all, nobody's gonna see it. Listen, I know that's you. Wait, you are American Dream, but bro, nobody even respects you, my boy. I'm over here talking to Brother Reggie in the email. After I cook Brother Reggie, I'm gonna still get Brother Reggie back on. After he got cooked, I'm still gonna get him back on. Bro, you don't have any guests that's like known in the community.
What there? What there?
Like, bro, you was out there clout chasing Uncle channel, Chef channel. And what happened with that history? Why you not on Chef channel anymore, bro? But a lot of y'all be getting clipped from channels and y'all try to like slither other places. You probably got clipped from Garfield Reed's channel, all those unks. You got clipped on Sean, Mossy, they all clipped you. And now you over here
No rainbow.
trying to, well, yeah, I got a flag. I got to protect my intellectual property, my boy. Can't have, yeah, the rainbow researcher. Yeah, he had to deliberately ask about that. Okay, he had to ask about that specifically. Okay, but I'll tell you one thing. I'm definitely gonna clip you, American Dream. Sometimes I'm not in a rush. I'm not in a rush, but I'll get you. You and Kwame, I'm gonna get Kwame with that electric car, bad research, and you talking about you disagree with the North and the money, how they benefited from slavery. Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna get you on that. Don't have nothing against you, but out of 50 mil FBAs, it's not the majority stay focused. Oh, yeah, let me read some of this stuff. So he said, yo, brother, yo, hey, Kwame, I gotta say pause when I read your stuff, yo. He said, colorful guy, right? Yo, dude, hey,
It's a flame.
yes, I'm shocked at you right now. I thought you were manly. My man said, Bayard Rustin put together the walk at Washington. He was the cover of Life magazine with a. We don't trust your research. I'm gonna tell you right now. We don't trust you. When you research A. Philip Randolph, Big Yard Wrestling comes up. Nah. I ain't never come across that dude. Dude, you're into that. And I ain't gonna judge you, bro. You know why? Because you're not on trial. I ain't gonna judge you, but brother, you look for that. None of my research shows my chat. I ain't never come research in many years where it led to somebody's sexuality. Sexuality. Yo, he's bugging. Yeah, brother. You gotta come better than that. Yeah, sure, you clip me up. Sure. Brother, I'm so confident, secure. None of your clips can affect me. But my clip on you though, that's groundbreaking. I completely and look, I played it in full context. It ain't no clip. It's full context. You got cooked. I played it over 3 times, American Dream, full context, and if you disagree with me, and I cooked you with the research, and you try to say, "Hey, man, what about the Civil War?" Hold on now, hold on now.
O E A A O E A A O E A A A U.
Thank you. That's hey, 2 sneezes,
Two seeds.
2 sneezes, two,
One.
two. No, not one, two,
Two.
2 sneezes. Yes,
Two.
2 sneezes.
That's not one.
No, it's not one. It's 2 sneezes.
It's two seeds.
Mm-hmm. Hey, brother. Hey, Kwame. With all due respect, I'm not clicking on. Oh, get it. Kwame, all due respect, bro. I'm not clicking on no name that you said was colorful, bro. I'm good. That's what you do. Your research, you look for certain sexualities and you research them folks, not me. I'm not a part of that agenda at all, bro. There you go. Let me do this, bro. Told y'all that. Yeah. Oh yeah, I don't AJ Quan. I don't mind. Well, first of all, they gotta ask for permission because what you cannot do
Hey, can I have
is
one?
screen record or record somebody else's intellectual property and repost it. You can't. That's why I don't do that. I can't record somebody's stuff and repost it without their permission. So that's why I always be transparent. I say, hey man, yes, no, you got it. You do it. I'm over here. Yes, I'm always transparent with my agenda. But what you cannot do, American Dream, I know you don't know any better, but you think you can screen record. You cannot do that. YouTube be snitching. YouTube lets content creators know who's using portions. And yo, check it out. YouTube even give you percentages of what they're using of your stuff. They give you this person using 100%. This person, yo, YouTube gets that petty. But give you a percentage of how much of your content, video, clip, whatever they're using. And it gives you the lever, it gives you the power. You can delete it, you can flag, you got a whole bunch of stuff you can do. And it's there for that reason because people should just be honest. Hey man, you mind? Hey yo, how many people said unbiased? You mind if I post this? Because whatever I say, I stand on. So I really don't mind when people say, "Hey man, can I use this?" I always say yes. I never said no to anybody. But American Dream. See, you're being a tether. See, you're being sneaky, so I gotta be sneaky. Okay, I've never told somebody no. I don't care how hostile the argument was. Whoever said, can they use my content, especially when they took part in it, they were a guest. And they called, they hopped on the live. I've never told them no. There's no history of me saying somebody cannot use content that they participated in. But, however, when folks try to get slick, though, and you had these agendas, you dig, that's a little different. But all you had to say, bro, all you had to say was, yo, I'm biased, yo. I'm calling in. Can I call in? Yeah. But you mind if I go ahead and use, what I mean? I'm going to record. You mind if I use it? Or you don't even got to say, look, you don't even got to say you're recording. You could just say, yo, I'm biased. You mind if I use certain clip? that I think I had you on, I'd be like, go ahead. Like, if you think you got me, go. Like, I don't be tripping like that, bro. So y'all gotta be like, y'all gotta have confidence in yourself. Yes. Being a real man is rewarded.
Okay, go.
Go ahead. I've never told anybody they can't use a piece of content that they took part in. Never have I done that. All right. Anyway.
Hey, it's an A.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So to believe you have to like sneak is weird. Yeah, to believe you gotta sneak, that's weird. Like right now, Kwame could say, yo, man, yes. Yo, right now, Kwame could say, yo, I'm biased. Yo, let me use, let me clip some stuff that we went over that I think I got the upper hand on you. I'm gonna be like, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. No, no, no. Hold this. Yeah, I don't believe I win every point every time I talk. No, I don't believe that. Hmm? No, who over here? Someone what? Okay, well, change it. Change it. You don't want the egg? Yeah, I don't believe I always win every point I argue. I'm going to win the entire argument for sure. But there's some points you guys might get me on. You dig? But the argument, I can guarantee I'm going to win the argument. I believe my debating resume is impeccable. I got real debates with a real poll on large platforms, my boy, where I took down people champions. Okay. All right. Anyway, let me say this. Hmm? Where? No, that's an egg. That's an egg. Okay. So let me just quickly. That's an egg. Okay, it's whatever you want it to be.
Daddy, it's not work. That work.
Hmm? No, you got. It works. It works. Go.
Daddy,
Yes.
daddy.
Yes. Okay, change it. Here. Press that. Go. Go. You go. All right.
What's the top?
Ba, 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 ba.
Top. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how you get cooked and think, yo, go. Oh, that's yeah, go. Yeah, I don't know how you get cooked and think you won. That's some tethered delusion right there. Mm.
It's a not one. It's a yellow king. It's a yellow king.
It is
It's a yellow king.
okay.
It's a yellow king. What color is this?
Yeah, they're used to backstabbing and stealing. Yeah, that's their culture. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and like I said, bro, I don't ever tell nobody nothing. But again, bro, like, yeah, you definitely didn't win nothing. You took a L. Yes, I'm trying to figure something out. So I'm quiet. I'm trying to figure something out. That's funny. Okay, so there we go. That's funny. Let me see. Go, go, go. All right. Um, okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. There we go. Hey, will this dog stop putting his sloppy nose on me? Mm-hmm. All right, so let me get back to where I was before the tether interrupted me. Yeah, I don't even know what Kwame keep putting over and over and over. And Kwame, you know you gotta use a better source than Wikipedia, or you could use Wikipedia, but you gotta use a different source. So people who use Wikipedia, I caution you. You can use Wikipedia, but follow up with a backup source. Don't use yes. What? Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, go. Yeah. So if you use Wikipedia, try to use a backup source along with Wikipedia. I wouldn't use Wikipedia by itself. Okay, because Wikipedia has been shaky lately. All right. So anyway, I think I was talking about Marcus Garvey earlier about how he was how he could have been successful with his endeavors, right? What was his best chance of being successful with his ideologies? Okay, so let me go back to that. Hold on. That's where I was before. Like a dream called in and let me see. That's beautiful. That's a red rock. Hmm. Okay, so I'm back on Marcus Garvey where I was. Kwame, like you got to have a better talking point or argument if I'm going to allow you to call in today. Because right now I mean, you're mentioning a guy who's rainbow, bro. I don't care to talk about a rainbow guy. Like, you know, what I mean, if you want to have a conversation with us, it got to be something that's not a pause thing. You dig? Like, I'm not interested in that. You guys in the islands be into that, bro. I'm good. Like, I'd rather not talk about a pause guy, right? A guy's sexuality is in question. That's not my thing, my boy. That's not FB at all. Okay, now we know you guys tolerate that over there in Jamaica, but not me. Okay, so anyway, it's back on Garvey. So Garvey wanted to do he wanted to do some Umar Johnson stuff. Okay, so I read all that already. We can move on from there. What needed to happen for Garvey's plan to succeed? Did we finish this already? So he needed proper ship inspections. That's his fault. Qualified. That's his fault. This is not his fault. Efficient businesses. This is his fault. Steady capital. That's his fault. Legal. This is not his fault. And this is his fault. So some things was his fault. Some things weren't. Okay. So we were here. The unforeseen and foreseen obstacles that likely led to failure. What did he didn't know about that led to his failure, like sabotage and infiltrators? He wouldn't know about that and informants. But there are some things that he did know about, like unqualified staff members that okay, so bad ships, worse deals. Garvey's team bought used, poorly maintained ships, including the Yarmouth, which has serious mechanical issues. That's half his fault. Yes, go. Because those guys didn't know, they were not qualified and trained to know what's a good ship and bad ship. They didn't know how to inspect ships. Some were refurbished beyond repair, constantly breaking down, needing expensive repairs. A maritime expert later said the ships were unfit for the open sea. See, like, dude, you don't have trained staff, so there's no way you can. I mean, dude, they're not looking at cars. You dig? They're not looking at horses. You got folks trying to look at ships to determine if it's a good ship or not, dude. Like that, that's just an L. Inexperienced staff, you see, inexperienced staff. Garvey didn't consistently hire experienced shipping professionals, just like Umar. Many managers were loyal NIA members, but not trained in shipping, logistics, or international trade. Result poor record keeping, late deliveries, ship damage, confusion at ports. Yeah, bro, that's how you lose business. Oh, so we were here. We are government sabotage. J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI targeted Garvey early on. And I said, Kwame, I said the FBI and J. Edgar Hoover, they were only successful at infiltrating and undermining weak organizations like the Garvey UNIA movement, the Black Panther Party, and the Ku Klux Klan. Those goofy organizations were weak, easily infiltrated because they were ran off pure emotion. I hate black people. Oh, hey, join us. Yeah, okay. Got it. Hey, let's go to Africa, Liberia. Yep, I want to be in the Black Panthers. Hey, man, I know my rights. Okay, cool. You could join. Hmm. There was no real aims and purposes in either any of those. Go ahead, you got it. In any of those three organizations. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. What are you doing? So Garvey wasn't because they're not okay, go change now. Change from the rock. So Garvey wasn't okay, change it. So Garvey didn't know about ships, so they know about rising fuel costs, port fees and customs and red tape, insurance and maintenance expenses, racial discrimination at U.S. international imports. It's not his fault, but you got to consider that, bro. Like you coming from Jamaica, not knowing politics, racial politics in America. That's your fault. Okay, so now we're here. Global politics and colonialism. He wasn't aware of this. Well, he should have been. He's from Jamaica. He's sure. No, he's aware of that. And he spoke to different Africans. He said in London, whatever. So he was aware of colonialism, different places, and that's why he chose Liberia. Okay. There were no African. Hey, yo, Kwame, yo, the chat wants you to talk about something great in Jamaica. Just one thing, please. He talks about Ghana, Haiti, all hey, Kwame. People want you to talk about something great in your homeland, bro. Old, new, current, futuristic. Please, one thing. Global politics and colonialism. The African continent was under European colonial rule, now open to black-owned fleets or settlements. I don't know why, Garvey. I mean, this is just a nothing burger. There were no African governments to partner with for land, trade, or repatriation. Caribbean elites and white colonial officials also resisted Garvey's influence. Man, bro, it's just a nothing burger. So we kind of went over this, connecting with the diaspora, visionary, but logistically difficult without solid trade routes and infrastructure. That's beautiful. That's a blue Christmas tree. Repatriation to Africa, very difficult while Africa was still colonized and hostile to mass migration. Funding through stock sales unstable without regulation or strong investor protection. Running a global shipping empire. extremely difficult without deep maritime knowledge and global support systems. You know what? I want to see. I researched. I want to see because I forgot. At one point, I knew why the stock the there was regulations on um trade brokers, and there were regulations on us, like people who will buy the purchase the stock. So I gotta Google again, like why did we need to be regulated? What can we do that's illegal that can get over on the person selling the stocks? Because the government regulations protected both of us from each other. The broker from us, the buyers, the shareholders, and the shareholders from the brokers. Because there was something that we could do too that could scam or undermine the brokers. I gotta find out because without those regulations, tethers, that not only was Garvey getting over on them, but they were getting over on Garvey, undermining the whole movement. Okay, I'll figure that out later. Okay, running a global shipping environment, which is retarded global, extremely difficult without deep maritime knowledge and global support systems. Did Garvey hire qualified people to operate the black? So we know it's no. Okay, so we can skip past that. Okay, so this was just a failed mission, man. Like it just so much stuff there. So I said, give me modern day examples of Pan-African businesses trying what he started. So this is something later that we'll get into. Okay, so what is this right here? But that's why I invite these tethers on, man. They're hardly ever right. Okay. Yes. But where is that Ray held? We don't play games in Jamaica. No, yes, y'all do. If I go and show you that y'all stats, hey Kwame, you don't know Jamaica, my boy. When you was on here, I asked you questions you did not know. So if you want the link about Jamaica, see now I got you. You don't know Jamaica more than me. So I'll give you the link, Kwame, if you want to talk about Jamaica only. If you want the link about Jamaica, Kwame, let's talk. Okay, I don't think you know more about Jamaica than I do. Okay, so you don't know more about America than me. You don't know more about Jamaica than me. So, brother, if you want to talk about Jamaica solely, I will give you the link. I don't think you know enough. I don't think you know a lot. Uh,
Look, it's a potato. Wow. Look. Hey, let me help.
no, Kwame. Nobody's being arrested for sexual assault in Jamaica, bro. That's the problem. So that sounds good, but we know in practice nobody ever gets locked up for it. Yes.
Daddy.
Oh, so strong organizations that Hoover could not infiltrate? Oh, easily. The Nation of Islam, the Moorish Science of America, the Deacons for Defense, the NAACP, everything A. Philip Randolph was involved in. W. Du Bois, the Talented Tenth. Like this is off the top of my head. You dig? I'm just telling you about organizations that they tried the Deacons for Defense and they gave up really fast. But other places, other orgs like the NAACP, go, NAACP, cheese, other organizations like the NAACP, they tried the Nation of Islam, they got absolutely nowhere. They tried the New Nuwaubians, they got absolutely nowhere. And the Hebrew Israelites, they tried them, got absolutely nowhere. Bro, they really just failed more than they were successful. They really had a hard time with the Italian mobs. Like, of course, they got some, but they didn't get a lot. They didn't get far. It's really hard to infiltrate the mafia, the Italian mafia. Okay, no, it's itchy. It's itchy. Yeah, so they were like, I believe, just off the fly, I believe they were more unsuccessful than they were successful infiltrating organization. Don't forget, I'm not talking about because a lot of times you can infiltrate like a motorcycle gang because a lot of those guys are hard to infiltrate as well, like the Hells Angels and other biker gangs. Like so, like they would infiltrate to a degree, but they would never. But I used to watch these things, man, on Ganglands. You did. They would get to a certain degree, but they could never get to the top. So they might take down small fries, but they can never. So remember, the whole point to infiltrate is not to take down the cronies. The point to infiltrate was to take down the entire organization, which they did with the KKK, the UNIA, and who else? I name UNIA, KKK, and the Black Panthers. And so where we at? Yeah. So let me see where we at. I was gonna ask a question. Oh, now let me find out who were they successful infiltrating to bring. So remember, not just infiltrate to get to the low levels. We're talking about bringing down the organization.
It will.
But I'm gonna ask both because
Robin.
I know for a fact they infiltrated some biker gangs, like some dangerous biker gangs that dealt with drugs and violent crimes, but they never brought them down. They got to a certain level and they couldn't go any further, and they just took down whoever they could. But the leaders they never touched. And and as example, as a result, the Hell's Angels are still the Hell's Angels. They didn't take them down. But the Ku Klux Klan had to start all over. The Black Panther Party had to start all over, and the UNIA had to start all over as a result of the infiltrations. All right.
Daddy,
Yes.
Daddy, it's a chocolate. The chocolate right there. Where is round?
I see.
Ooh.
Okay, let me reword this. I think he did get rid of the mafia, though, if I could remember. I'm not sure. I don't sure. I gotta. I don't think so. I kind of think so, but I don't think so. But I know the KKK for sure. Hmm.
Napalm.
Oh yeah, man. Hey, yo, sounds bad too. All you got to do is just go back. You didn't really miss it. Well, you did miss a lot, but the most important thing you missed was me cooking American Dream. Just go to the part where I cooked him where he disagreed with the North benefiting largely from Southern slavery, Southern enslavement. Go to that part. That was the defining moment. That's why he's not here now. He got cooked badly.
Daddy,
Yes. Hmm?
round.
Good, good, good. What do you want?
It's round.
What you saying?
Round.
Clown.
Round.
Brown. I don't speak baby talk fluently. I know a little bit. Go.
What's a baby though?
Mm-hmm.
Baby, where are you? What's that sound?
That's the dog.
Got one downstairs.
Okay. So he was the director for J. Edgar Hoover was in effect all the way until 1972.
Sorry,
Go, go, go. He started in 1924 and white supremacy, they loved him. 48 years. America is a funny, racist ass country, man. So COINTELPRO originally, let me share my screen. So COINTELPRO originally targeted the Communist Party, but was expanded to include civil rights leaders, Black power groups, anti-war activists, and more. Tactics included wiretaps, infiltration, spreading disinformation, agent provocateurs, and character assassination. Organizations. The first one they named is the Black Panther Party. Look, yes. Organizations, look what it says, and dismantle, infiltrated and dismantle, or severely weakened. The first number one is the Black Panther Party. Infiltration, dozens of informants penetrated local and national leadership, e.g., Chicago chapter under Fred Hampton. Damn, but y'all be big enough, Fred Hampton. Tactics sowing. Tactics sowing distrust between leaders, Huey Newton, Elridge Cleaver, sending fake letters, inciting violent rivalries, e.g., with U.S. organization, and encouraging criminal behavior. Damn, they got them to do foolishness. Result, FBI orchestrated police raids, including the assassination of Fred Hampton and Mark Clark in 1969. That's sad. That's sad. That is sad. Outcome, national collapse by the early 1980s due to internal splits, arrests, and targeted killings. Student Nonviolent Coordination Committee. SN. Oh, damn. They got them too? Yeah, that's a nice, that looks like that's strawberry. Okay. Okay, so they got they got that SNCC. Yeah, that's beautiful. So they beat up SNCC, Um, initially nonviolent, later leaned more toward black nationalism under Stokely Carmichael, infiltration and monitoring increase as rhetoric radicalized. Result, COINTELPRO targeted its fundraising, communications, and public image. That's strawberry. Outcome, organization dissolved by the early 1970s, got rid of SNCC. Mm-hmm.
That's not strawberry.
Look at the NOI right there. No, what is that?
Pink.
Yeah, it's pink strawberry. Yeah. Revolutionary Action Movement. Never heard of RAM. A small but influential black nationalist group active in 1960s, advocated armed self-defense and Marxist policies. Yeah, it's strawberry. Targeted as potential threat to national security, results widespread surveillance and arrest crippled the organization by the late 1960s. Okay, so now they were done. The Nation of Islam. Here we go. COINTELPRO aimed to exploit rifts between Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X. The FBI infiltrated the NOI and encouraged tensions, leading to Malcolm X's break from the group. While the NOI survived, okay, that's the most important thing. They survived, not like the other groups. The FBI took credit for weakening internal cohesion. Okay, but they survived. You see, they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. I said that, and they up there, right? I was confident. United Slaves Organization, never heard of them. U.S. organization, a cultural nationalist rival to the Black Panthers in Los Angeles. FBI exploited tensions between U.S. Oh, they beef. Hold up. And BP using fake communications to incite violence. The 1969 shootout at UCLA between the BPP and U.S. was the result of COINTELPRO interference. Yo, look how clownish the Black Panther Party was. They end up beefing with the United Slaves Organization. And look, both of these groups are supposed to protect and elevate the Black community, but they're out there killing each other because of who? COINTELPRO. Yo, my God. Yeah, that's why I say, man, stop. Uh-oh. Groups infiltrated but not completely destroyed. Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, led. See, they got in there, but they could not do anything with tight groups like the NOI and now the SCLC, led by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Hoover personally tried to undermine King, even sending him a blackmail letter urging him to commit suicide. FBI leaked false or inflammatory material to discredit King through the SCLC was not dismantled. Though the LC, I need glasses. I already told you that. Though the SCLC was not dismantled, his reputation and internal distrust suffered. Congress Racial Equality Corps began as an interracial nonviolent civil rights group, infiltrated and monitored heavily, suffered from declining influence by the early 1970s, but solely due to COINTELPRO. Damn, AIM, American Indian Movement, the ABOs too, infiltrated and destabilized, especially during the Wounded Knee standoff 1973. Leaders were harassed, imprisoned, and surveilled. While AIM still exists in some form, its strength was significantly reduced.
It's a monster.
Okay. Oh, that's a monster.
It's silly.
That is a monster. Okay, so there you go, man. I told you. The stronger organizations, they did nothing with.
It's silly.
Yeah. American Dream is blocked. I block. And I ain't block them. I timed them out until tomorrow at 7:30, basically, because he got cooked over here and started to troll in the chat. I'm like, dude, you had your chance. You got cooked. You dig? And I'm talking about it's not nothing edited, straight raw footage. He got cooked. And I played it over 2, 3 times live. Okay, this is a live, and I played live the cook. I went to the footage. I went back to the time we debated where he disputed me, and I said, bro, if you're wrong, are you going to admit you were wrong? He never did, by the way. I don't expect Tethers to do that. Oh yeah, Ricardo Flat. Yeah, peace. Thanks, man. Yeah, man. So this is some good information. That's some good information. All right, so I'm gonna log off now so I can try to get back on. Listen, I came on late last night. If I get on late tonight, believe me, it's gonna be for an hour max. So if I get on late 11 o'clock or 10:30, it's gonna be for an hour max, nothing more. But I stood my ground today. I cooked Tether American Dream. He took a huge L. He's making short videos. I guarantee he's editing it. I guarantee it's edited. It ain't straight. It ain't straight like I got him. I got him straight to conversation. Okay.